Tourne dans le vide, 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 dans le vide, vide, tourne dans le... I wonder how many women are actually tourning dans le vide over Tate. Probably a lot. Thank you for joining me. I'm glad you're here. There's a pretty epic video that just came out yesterday? Today? Yeah, today. We're still today. 15 more minutes. And it's Andrew Tate and Alex Jones. They finally teamed up. This is gonna be an epic interview. I hate my life. Why? I'm gonna keep this in the video because every time I finally get what I'm gonna say down right, I forget to shut my phone off, and it just fucking goes off in the background. Anyway, okay, so we're gonna watch this video. Preface this with I'm native. I'm not racist, I'm not right-leaning, I accept everyone, everybody, love, happiness, yada yada yada. But these guys, they definitely do speak the truth. Now we're a little bit far ahead here, not too far ahead, but we got through most of the intro stuff, so we got through a couple of the intro videos. The boys acknowledged each other. They've known each other for 6 years. Alex Jones says he's known Tate for 6 years. Tate says he's known Alex forever. Of course, who hasn't? He's been on the internet going crazy about the Grove and Moloch sacrifices and government psyops and all that. So, yeah, so they've acknowledged that they're both vilified characters. They're pretty popular. They've acknowledged that they're on the side of good. They try to be good influences to people, and they're constantly slandered in the media. They also went over how like CBC would slander Tate by putting out like hit pieces like once a month, he said, or like once a day for 365 days. And in that same year that they were character assassinating him, the CBC had like 2 or 3 sexual scandals within their own, or not CBC, whatever, some American. I don't think it's CBC. It was an American news outlet. They were having their own sexual issues in their office with their staff, and they covered that for like 2 days, and then they went back to bashing Tate and whoever else. The other thing that's cool today too is the results for Jordan Peterson's hearing are happening today. So it's pretty cool. 2 epic things. Tate and Alex are doing this and this and this, and Peterson is going to address his hearing tomorrow. So as a Canadian, I've been following this very closely. I feel like Jordan Peterson is fighting for basic free speech laws and rights to express ourselves, and unfortunately he's being challenged by the College of Psychologists because he's been seen promoting unapproved philosophy and unapproved beliefs. So I believe the case is asking him to undergo re-education. So he's got to take, I believe it's sensitivity training or something like that. So it's just crazy times we're living in. So yeah, so you're all caught up. Tate and Andrew have introduced themselves. They acknowledge that they're forces of good. They have been endlessly slandered, and yet they continue to push the truth. Tate's unfortunately been accused of countless times of bogus allegations of abuse against women and stuff, and he acknowledged that, you know, there's over like 2,000 women he's interacted with. Same with Alex Jones. He's like, you're a good-looking guy, you're rich. I mean, women are throwing themselves at you. You don't need to go out of your way to violate a woman. So as you've got unlimited access, right? So why? So yeah, and I'm sure like he's intelligent, he's rich. Even I know, I'm not intelligent, but even I know like there's women out there. You can have a nice conversation, write out a contract, and if you really wanted to, I'm sure he could find one woman that's willing to, if he was, you know, sick and wanted to, if he was one of those people that likes abusing people, you could find an abusee, I'm sure. But some people are wired weird. Anyway, don't ask me. That's just how society runs. Okay, I looked into philosophy, psychology, anthropology, like etymology, all that stuff. Yeah, and it's super interesting to me. I've never stopped learning, never stopped trying to learn about the human condition and life itself. Kind of a jack of all trades, master of none. Very chaotic thing to do. But yeah, so let's get to this. I'll try to comment where I can, but we're just pretty much just watching this and enjoying. So, you know what? I'm going to get rid of this background noise. Keep that cold. And we're just going to turn that off for now. Should be a little bit better of a listening experience for anybody who decides to listen to this. I don't know if this is going to stay on the internet. I'm going to try to get rid of as much as, not that I don't want to promote Alex Jones's stuff, but it is banned. I do respect the TOS. I respect the rules. So it's going to be hard to show this. I don't know if YouTube's even going to let me show this or comment on this, but we're going to do our best. I'm going to cut it up enough. I'm not trying to copyright infringe. I'm not trying to piggyback off of Jones's content. Like, I don't think you get copyright banned by somebody who can't even post on that platform. But anyway, if anything, so sorry. Get back to me, and we'll make changes here if there's any issues. But worst comes to worst, I'll probably get banned by some YouTube bot, or the video will get taken down by a YouTube bot. So I'm trying to get myself somewhere comfortable here. I want to be kind of center frame. I want to be able to kind of, lean back a little bit, but not to the point where I'm causing OCD for people who can't handle. Just don't look at me. Don't. If I lean too much this way, lean too much that way, just don't. Watch the video. Watch the video. Okay. What do we got here? This can come up a little bit. We'll shrink. Okay, that's not. And then we want to lock everything here, and we're going to lock this, unlock this. We want everything. Okay, we got everything selected. Make me a little bit smaller, and what's going on there? Does that look? Why is it sticking out? Let's do this. Okay, just 1 sec here. 1 sec, I got it. And I got it. Okay, here we go. Enjoy. Okay, wait, that was it. Here we go. Enjoy.
And then the average young man, on average, gets treated bad by women. The women have been brainwashed, have been entitled on average, and they don't know how to stand up for themselves, so they get run over by women, even if they actually still go out and date women. And, my son's good-looking guy, really smart, has had a lot of girlfriends, but he would get wrapped around the axle with them and have a lot of issues. He's like 21 now, and he has had a huge turnaround, and he was never that bad, but he calls it a turnaround himself. About 2 years ago, watching your shows, listening to you, and now he's in control of the relationships. He's confident. He's doing great in business now. He's doing amazing things, and I really owe you for that. And it's because that's the path of a man, and that's being attacked because the globalists are threatened by men being independent because they can't be pushed around and controlled. If they don't have men in the way, the globalists are going to be able to rule over us. And that's the thing women need to realize. Women are the most depressed they've ever been statistically. Women are the most alone they've ever been. They're the most unhappy, and it's because they're being taught to reject the biology of who and what we are.
Absolutely. Strong men make women happy. I get called a misogynist all the time for telling men to have standards. Men with standards and principle and capability and competence make women happy. The #1 way to improve female mental health is to make men better men. And the reason they don't want men to be strong and have any kind of control over their relationships or their households is very simple. Females are easier to sway with an emotional argument. If you have a bunch of households which are run by women and the woman is in charge, and then the woman is going to sit and watch an emotional argument, propaganda, which is all that the MSM use, they can't use logical arguments, so they use emotional ones. Put the mask on for grandma. Well, grandma's 98, and 98-year-olds unfortunately die of diseases. And telling a 6-year-old kid to put a mask on, or a 21-year-old strong man to put a mask on because 98-year-old grandma might get sick, doesn't even make any logical sense. But it's an emotional argument, and women fall for emotional arguments easier than men. So how do you control a populace? It's very simple. You subdue the men, you make the women in charge, you make a matriarchy, and then you use emotional arguments via the propaganda mechanisms, because women are more likely to agree with them, and then you
propagate
have the entire
them.
population under control. That's why it's done on purpose. They don't want a man to have any degree of control over anything in his life. You know, even his own house. You can't be the king of your own household anymore. And it's making women miserable. It's making men miserable. It makes the entire populace miserable. And there's another thing I want people to understand. Misery is also a very key component to their slave agenda. Because when you're truly miserable, you are selfish. You don't care about anything that happens outside of yourself. People say that you and I perhaps were angry people. But I'll tell you something. We're positive people because we care. We care about what happens to our country. We care about what happens to our cities.
Or at least you take the time to try to help other people and encourage them.
When you're truly miserable and truly sad, you're self-obsessed. You don't care about anything but yourself. They want us all miserable on antidepressants, eating the bugs, watching the TV shows. Because then when something happens down the street that's not supposed to happen, we don't care. Oh, yeah, well, the store down the street got robbed and my town's on fire, but I'm sad anyway. They want us all selfish, because when we're selfish, you can't band together to resist anything.
Well, that's absolutely what's going on. They totally shirk responsibility. And you can read the MI6 and CIA battle plans from the 60s and 70s, where they said, we're going to destroy the family, we're going to make people selfish. And there are so many psychological studies that leftists are between 5 and 10 times, depending on the study, more selfish. They don't give to charity. They steal more. They lie more.
Naomi.
I mean, they're really just incredible losers. And I just wonder sometimes if we can rehabilitate them, or whether they're just a lost cause.
It's a good question. And they are the end result of a very sophisticated propaganda machine, which has been built with the sole intention of creating miserable drones which will believe anything they are told. These people can be told the sky is green and they'll believe it.
Yeah.
And all of the propaganda which is being pumped their way is negative. The world is going to end because the sun is hot. Don't have kids, that's bad for some reason. Don't eat meat, only eat the bugs. Sit at home, you should have a therapist, you should be on antidepressants. Like, they're just trying to pump nothing but negativity of these people, and they absorb it. And this is what I said to one of my friends. My friend said, Andrew, you've been through so much for telling the truth. Why do you do it? And I say, well, you either fight against the injustice and tell the truth, and you suffer the consequences of that, or you believe the bullshit and suffer the consequences of being at war with your own mind and your own biology and end up miserable anyway. There is a war that cannot be escaped, and I would rather live true to God and tell the truth and fight the war this way. But it's truly incredible that these leftists do what they do. And I also think there's something that global about the world that most people don't understand. The people who are in charge of the planet, who are in charge of global finance, make all the important decisions, and who are in charge of money, they are called globalists for a reason. They have no particular interest in any one country. All they care about is control and maximizing profits. And I don't think many people understand that. For a long time, we've been exploiting the second and third worlds because someone has to lose for another person to win. There's no light without dark. We've been exploiting the second and third worlds for a long time to be prosperous in the West, and that's now changing for a variety of reasons, which will be a very long conversation. But the globalists have no problem exploiting the first world and simply turning on its head, destroying the societies of America, destroying the societies of Europe, doing whatever they need to do to make endless and forever profit, and they'll simply move to a penthouse in another part of the world. They have no problem to move to Africa, or they have no problem moving to the Middle East. They have no problem to live in Asia. As long as they get forever profits and billions of dollars, they'll let Europe burn. And all of these leftist policies are designed to create a slave class of people which have no interest in trying to preserve the sanctity of the nations they live within.
Andrew, I totally agree here, and I want to drill more into this. When you see Al Gore and King Charles and AOC and Beto saying, hey, the world's going to end in 2030, and then statistically the young people say, well, I'm not going to get a job or live or have kids because my life's over. That is literally a psychological warfare virus that's been put into their minds, and it's just preposterous. I've looked at the heat records. The hottest heat in the U.S. was back in the 19-teens, the 1930s. The hottest temperature ever at Death Valley was 134. It hit 130 this year. They're lying, and there's headlines, don't go outside, it's too hot. They literally want to turn us into pod people.
Oh, absolutely, pod people. And pod people can't have any remnants of warrior spirit inside of them because they're not going to be able to live in their pod. So this is the point.
Remnants?
The world's over in 2030. Why go to the gym? Why get strong? Why work hard? Why get rich? Why be funny? Why be charismatic? Why do anything? It doesn't matter. The world's going to end. Sit in your pod. Wait for the food delivery. That's what they want from all of us. They want all of us to have absolutely no ambition and to sit there and be slave-minded. And it's very difficult to resist enslavement if you need the government to eat. I think all governments on the planet are constantly trying to encroach on the freedom of their populace, trying to get closer and closer to some version of communism where you have to absolutely and utterly comply or you literally do not have food to eat. And that's what they want. And it's an obvious agenda. It's a very obvious agenda, and it plays into the worst characteristics of the human psyche, because there are a lot of people out there who, when given the excuse to be lazy, will be lazy. When given the excuse for why they're not successful, will take that excuse and use it as a shield for their own glaring, obvious failings. And we're now building two camps. We have the camps of losers and winners, and the winners are telling the truth, and the losers are just adopting all of the slave mind programming. And unfortunately, it's becoming more and more dangerous now to even say the truth, because these losers band together like hyenas and attack anybody who stands up and tells the truth, like they've attacked you and like they've attacked me. The people who are trying to put me in jail are not good people. They're not good people. They're not honest, hardworking, God-fearing people. They're evil people, and they know exactly what they're trying to do. It's scary.
Let's expand on that, because this is really the heart of the whole thing. You talk about how you and I and many others have been right about predicting what would happen. It's now here, so our credibility's way up. 95% of the comments I see about you are positive everywhere. Young people I talk to, old people, stuff I see online, but also in the street, nobody's buying it. And it's because you talk about real issues. If you had to describe, this is a football game, let's say U.S. football, NFL, or worldwide soccer, or whatever game or analogy you want to use.
Worldwide soccer, FIFA?
Where are we in the game and who's winning? Because I see you being the most popular, and Tucker Carlson and Joe Rogan's getting more hardcore now. And I see Russell Brand sounds just like us, and Tulsi Gabbard's and RFK Jr. and all these other people are exploding in popularity. We all have the top shows. The left doesn't have anybody in the top 10, not even the top 20. I mean, you're right up the top. Tucker Carlson, me, Joe Rogan, we're all up there at the top. And in total reach, you and Joe are, kind of like pole stars there. But I'm not measuring things here as individuals. I'm looking at it as we're talking about the truth. We've been doing it for a long time. We're insanely popular despite all their suppression, despite them trying to put us in prison and locking you up in solitary confinement and doing all of this. Look how Trump's gets 60% of the vote against all of the Republicans. He's 25 points ahead of Biden. That's never happened since polling began to have something like that. So the system has the money, and it has the agencies, and it has the police in many levels, and the media, but it's all dying. It's all a joke. And so every move they make against us is very painful. But at the end of the day, as long as we persevere and hold strong, they're losing. So what's your view on that?
Absolutely. They don't have God on their side. The moral arc of the universe bends towards truth. It takes unlimited energy to continue to propagate a lie. It's very difficult to do. It goes against the law of physics. If you put a lie into the universe, you need to continually push that lie to keep it afloat. It's like a hot air balloon. You need to keep that engine running. You need to keep the flame going permanently to keep it floating. Because as long as people use their own eyes and their own senses and eventually begin to think, the lie is going to sink and it's going to disappear. And there's certainly been a shift in consciousness in the last 3 to 4 years. 3 to 4 years ago, it was much worse than it is today. And I feel like I said this when I was canceled in August of last year. I was doing Patrick Bet-David's podcast, and I said, they are making a mistake. When you have power, the only guarantee to power is that one day you will lose it. And the quickest way to lose power is to overuse it, to overreach, to overstretch. When you do that, everyone loses faith in you. For you to have power, you must have the faith of the populace. Once people understand that you're abusing your power and it's no longer a fair system, they're no longer interested in what you have to say or your power mechanisms, and then you can only resort to complete brutality. And I think it's going to be quite difficult for them to do now that the consciousness of people are waking up. But certainly, yeah, I feel like we are winning now. I feel like you and I have been through the trenches and suffered the absolute worst of it 5 to 6 years ago, and now most people understand. They overstepped with the COVID lies. They overstepped with the censorship. They overstepped with the election lies. They overstepped trying to say anybody who tells the truth is a sexual predator. They overstepped by protecting all the people who we know do genuinely bad things they refuse to talk about. They overstepped so many times now that people have a thirst in their hearts to know what's really going on, and that's our chance to finally make it clear to people. And I pray we can finally get through to people to a level where next time they try the next big psyop, which we can talk about, which might be coming up soon, everybody rejects it. Because, you know, there's something really important, Alex. We talk always about who controls the world, but ultimately, without our compliance, they can't control anything. We control the world. A mask mandate is a piece of paper. It's a piece of fucking paper. That's it. It's cowardice that makes that have power. If everyone wasn't a coward and stood up and said, no, I'm sorry, I respectfully decline, then it's over. We still control the world, but that's why they're trying their absolute best to make sissies of all of us.
Absolutely. I want to talk about that because we talked yesterday, and I said, what do you want to cover? And you said, well, we always have a great time. You know, we'll just discuss the waterfront. But you said, I do want to get into new lockdowns. And I talked to a TSA source that I know well that I called a Border Patrol source. They said, yeah, we were told last week they're going to try to bring it back, starting with federal employees, TSA workers, the middle of September, and then try to bring back airline mandates in October, and of course, then get as much as they can to have the mail-in ballots next year. Now, I didn't know when I broke that Friday morning that they would do the main rollout Friday evening and say, oh, colleges are locking down and Lionsgate's locking down and corporations are locking down and, you know, they're going to make people wear masks, they're going to ask for vaccine passports. And so the story became the biggest story in the last 4 or 5 days. I mean, just massive amounts of people waking up, huge coverage. Senator Paul's come out and said it's a total fraud. And so it's really a watershed moment that we're not going to just sit here and let them roll out the incremental psyop and then we just accept each piece. No, we know you're bringing it back out to push your poison boosters. We know you're bringing it back out to try to get more surveillance and control and bring in your vaccine passports. That's the basis of the World ID card that Bill Gates is behind. And so I'm very excited to see explosive, nonviolent civil disobedience and people saying, hell fucking no, we are not going through this again. We know it's a fraud. So I think we caught them with their pants down.
Great time.
Tate Pledge is funded
100% by cunt. And we're back at it. Here we go.
Tate Pledge is funded 100% by me. This is my personal money.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you very much. Tate brothers and home. Prophet Muhammad said, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Me, the one who cares for an orphan, will be in Jannah in paradise like this. Inshallah. Assalamu alaikum. بدي صوت السلام عليكم. قولوا عمو اليوم. Assalamu alaikum, my bro.
Which will be donated to Tate Pledge, which will be used to feed children in war-torn countries.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh from Syria. You're welcome, my dear bro and bro, my dear bro Christian. May Allah bless you. Jazakumullah khair. The Tate brothers and bro, Jazakumullah khair. As you can see, brothers, subhanAllah, you heard about war in Syria. Now in Syria, we have more 1 million orphans, subhanAllah.
And I also promised to provide full accounting and receipts to prove that that money goes directly to charity, to feeding children in war-torn countries.
Unlike a lot of charities where portions of the money go to the actual people. Is that a new cleaner? Tate Pledge? Is that a new type of cleaner?
Alex Jones
You
here
missed
in
a
the next
clean
60
nap?
seconds with some very
shit.
exciting announcements. Vitamin Mineral Fusion
Alex
is a
funding
bestseller.
little
It's
children?
an amazing product. All the key amino
Educations?
acids, all the essential vitamins, all the essential
Oh
minerals.
my
That
god.
means everything you need to
Super
live
male
in
vitality.
one tasty, delicious
Super
product.
male
Put it in a
vitality.
mixer, mix up, drink in the
Get your
morning,
super male vitality.
nighttime, middle of the night.
Make sure you get your super male vitality.
Amazing, and it
By
empowers
Sam
your
Hyde.
whole body. It's back in stock, discounted at InfoWarsStore.com. You can get 10% off signing up for auto ship. We got double Patriot points. That's 10% off on your next order right now. All of that is available at InfoWarsStore.com. Things like 3,000 milligrams CBD oil that does over-the-top things for your neurological system, your joints, your bones.
I
so
am
much
Joey
more.
fucking Diaz.
I know you're
Doing
gonna
some
love it.
3,000
And it runs
milligram
full
Alex
oil,
Jones
also 1,000
CBD.
milligram salve for
Hey,
joints and bones.
cocksucker, it's Monday.
It's under
Do some
the
3,000 milligrams
private
of fucking Alex
at
Jones.
InfoWarsStore.com.
Cocksucker
Check it out. So
motherfucker.
many other great
It's me,
products
Joey
at
Diaz.
InfoWarsStore.com
My dick's
right now.
fucking rotten off.
And you know, it's very interesting we say this because I don't want anyone to think we're inciting violence because that's not what we're doing. Even during the last COVID lockdown, you can resist so easily in a non-violent way. If I went into a store and they said, "Do you have a mask? Put a mask on." Don't have one, sorry. Okay, I'll give you one. Okay, give me one. And then I wouldn't walk over to take it. No, I stand there and make them walk across the store to give it to me. Then I take it and I half hang it on my ear and I don't wear it properly. Then they come up to me and say, "Oh, you need to wear it properly." I say, "Oh, okay." Then I don't wear it properly. Then I take it off completely. Then they come up to me and go, "Oh, where's your mask?" I say, "Sorry, I dropped it on the floor and it's dirty. I need another one." Then they have to go back behind the counter, get another mask.
All the
walk
pollution
back
from
to the other
masks
side of the
is,
store. Give it to you. Make them work. Make them work. If they want you to wear a mask so fucking bad, make them walk a marathon. Make them work. Don't make it easy for them. If they want to stand there and try and make a slave of you, at least
It's
make
like the
them do something
it's like
for
the
it.
economic
You know,
attacks
I had
on
people walking
the
back
West.
and forth around stores getting me
Death
5
by
or
1,000
6 or
paper
7 or
cuts.
8 different masks. I never even put it on because I dropped it on the floor, right? We're all scared of germs now. I can't wear a mask from the floor. It might have COVID on it. Don't come too close. Social distancing. Just put the mask there. I'll collect it in a second. Make them work for it. That's civil disobedience. If everyone did that, imagine you worked in a store and
It is
every person who
civil
came in did what I
disobedience,
just described. Are you going to really run around for 12 hours a day? You'll give up after 2 hours. But the reason it doesn't happen, the reason they get away with this is because everybody just complies. Mask on, okay. Like, I'm not describing anything violent. I'm not describing anything that will get you arrested. I'm not describing anything that will even cause an argument. I'm just talking about using your fucking brain and having some balls. And it's very important. If they try and bring this back.
You trying to kill people?
If
You're
they
a
try and bring
murderer.
this back, I really
You're not wearing your mask during the
pray that
pandemic,
this
you
will be a
murderer.
breaking point for their entire
Police,
apparatus,
this man's not
because I
wearing his
think
mask.
enough people are
He's
awake now to
spreading the disease. He's a
absolutely not
murderer.
resist. That was a huge psyop. And I love to think,
He's a psychopath.
I hope I'm right. I love to think that anybody who lived through that has learned their lesson. And like I said, the number one guarantee of power is that you'll lose it, because eventually with power you will overstep and you will overreach. And if they try another lockdown, another pandemic, I think it's the biggest overreach they could possibly try. So I hope they do it. And I hope that people do what they're supposed to do, which is say no.
Like,
I totally agree with you.
authorities telling you can't see your dying loved ones. Like, imagine your mom or dad dying and you can't go see them.
What else do you think the deep state has in its hip pocket? We know lawfare.
If you had good parents,
trying to put you and Trump
some people have
and
shit
everybody
parents.
else
Anyway,
in
it
prison.
only applies to people with good parents.
Trying to sue us all into oblivion. But we're, the lead folks at the tip of the spear. What else is the deep state going to pull? I've seen Klaus Schwab hyping cyber attacks, power outages. I've seen them hyping a stock market crash. I've seen them now sending F-16s to Ukraine, even though they now admit that the Russians have basically destroyed the Ukrainian military.
Yeah, so it's kind of scary because
there's a lot of points
we are
there.
the tip of the
There's a lot
spear.
of talking
And
points
when you're
there.
the leader, when you're the lead of the charge, they want you dead first, right? It's kind of like the old adage. They said if 5 guys are going to start a fight on you, hit the biggest one first. And that's why they're coming from men like us, because they know we're inspiring a resistance. And the resistance we're inspiring is nothing more than self-respect and parameters for what you'll accept from a government, and to stand up and say, I'm a sovereign individual and I'm allowed to decide what goes in my blood. Imagine thinking you're not allowed to decide what goes inside of your own blood. Imagine waking up and saying, my blood is not mine. It belongs to the government. It's absolutely insane. But what they're going to try and do next is control the money. Because when they control the money, they can control where you go, and they can control whether you eat or not. And I don't know about anybody else, but I can tell you from my own personal experience, in the last 3 to 4 years, the banking sector has become more strict than it's ever been. It's become harder and harder to not only make money, but move money and have money. 10 years ago, if you wanted to do $1 million wire, it was a headache. Nowadays, if you want to do $1 million wire internationally, let's say I want to say $1 million to, I don't know, Turkey or Qatar or Australia, anywhere, the amount of headache, paperwork, delays, it's really impossible to do. It's getting harder and harder because they want to control the money. If they control the money, they control absolutely not only everything else by extension. So it's CBDCs that's coming. The banking system locking people down for dissidents, is, we already know is happening. And once they control the money, then they're going to come along and say, don't worry, you're allowed money if you do this. And from there, they're going to expand out. I don't think most people understand that absolutely every single thing they talk about propagating and pushing to the populace is a Trojan horse. I was arguing about climate change with someone the other day, and I said, listen, I love the environment. I would hate for nature to be destroyed. I love nature. Nobody with a sane mind dislikes nature. The problem is we can't make any laws to protect nature because every single time we do, they Trojan horse it with some garbage that has nothing to do with the actual issue and is purely agenda driven to destroy my life and make me a slave. So what can we do now? And that's what they're going to do. They're going to come along, control all the money, and they're going to say, because of the climate, you're allowed money if you don't drive your car very often. And that has nothing to do with saving the earth. It's everything to do with controlling you. And that's the problem. Now we have people in charge of us that we can't even trust to fix any issue ever because all they're interested in is injecting Trojan horses and destroying our lives. It's incredible.
Oh, that was incredibly said. And let's expand on that. They tried to set me up for rape. They're trying to set you up with it, have done it. They had a jury say Trump didn't rape this woman. No proof she ever met him. But because he said, I don't know her, he was found guilty of defamation for saying, I'm innocent. They actually said, you're not allowed to say you're innocent. That's how they weaponize these jurisdictions in places like Austin, Texas, and New York City, and D.C. and Connecticut. But talk about rape. We know who's raping. Colleges and businesses and law enforcement and the military. You're going to be court-martialed. You're going to be kicked out. You're going to be fired if you don't take this experimental shot that's in all these studies causing all sorts of serious myocarditis and blood clots and strokes and heart attacks. That's raping you with a gene therapy. They're the rapists. Fauci's the king rapist. Joseph Mengele 2.0. And can you just speak to that? They're accusing any strong man of supposedly abusing women, like the Gillette commercials where they had in the Super Bowl a few years ago where a guy in a coffee shop goes over and asks a girl out. The other guy grabs him and says, that's rape. Don't talk to a woman. But then drag queen story time, convicted pedophiles in many cases, in G-string,
unconsciously doing the
little
Tate
kids
hands,
bouncing on their knee and rubbing up against a little kid. That's okay, but in a Gillette commercial, a man talking to a woman is bad. I mean, this is just beyond BS. They're raping our minds, raping our bodies, raping our freedom, raping our borders, raping our currency, raping humanity. They are the damn rapist.
Absolutely, because rape, the whole idea of rape is an act without consent. That's the exact idea of it all. So for them to sit there and say to a man, you're a rapist, that means you forced a woman to have sex without consent. So you nailed it. Let's talk about them forcing people to have injections. Let's talk about them forcing ideologies on children. Let's talk about them forcing women to accept men in their bathrooms or on their sports teams. Let's talk about them forcing citizens of a country to accept that their country no longer has a border and by extension no longer has a legal system. Because without a border, you don't have a legal system. You don't even have a nation anymore. You want to talk about rape without consent? You absolutely utterly nailed it. And they use this word and they use this attack on any strong man primarily as an effort to damage masculinity. They make it out to the world that if you're a man who is traditionally masculine, who stands up, who is strong, who is not apologetic for his opinions, then by extension, you must be a rapist. And they do this so that men are afraid to act this way because that, once again, pushes the idea that men should be sissies and soft so it's easier for them to have slave-minded individuals. What's actually crazy is this. Women want men who are masculine. The kind of man who is not going to rape is the kind of man who has choices and genuine access to females who love him. Why would a man who is successful in all realms of human endeavor, including his relationships with females, ever rape anybody? No, I'll tell you who's a rapist. The liberal who eats the bugs, who's fat and ugly, with no personality, who's sad on antidepressants. No woman wants him. He's the kind of guy who has to rape to have sex, not the traditionally masculine, toxically male, the man they try and say. So it's absolutely and utterly, it's a mind attack. It's a psyop by saying if you stand up and you have muscles and you have a nice car and you're rich and you're strong and you have opinions and you say, yeah, this is what I believe and I'm not sorry for it, that means you are a bad person and by extension a rapist. And what they're trying to do is stop men from acting that way. They want all of us afraid. Without fear, none of this works. I think it was Goebbels who said it. I don't know if your research team can find it. Goebbels said it. You lie and you lie on repeat and you make them afraid. And that's all you have to do. Nazi Germany literally said the exact same thing and look what they did to the world. And it's amazing that the tactics haven't changed. The apparatus, the MSM hasn't changed. It's the same game. It's exactly the same game it's always been.
We are grooming the new generation of Americans to be fully embracing of diversity and inclusivity.
And for the children and the people that support it are going to realize that this is going to be the grooming of the next generation.
That's the whole goal, is to make kids that aren't used to seeing something like me more comfortable to seeing it.
No one's there to push an agenda on anyone. No one's to persuade people or to...
You weren't there in the first place. What are you doing there if you're not there to push an agenda?
You could be a drag queen superhero.
Learn to love, learn to vogue, face your fate. We'll convert your children. Someone's gotta teach them not to hate.
Vogue fade your face?
We're coming for your children. We're coming for your children. We're coming for your children will care about fairness and justice for others. Your children will work to convert all their sisters and brothers. Then soon we're almost certain your kids will start converting you. The gay agenda is coming home. The gay agenda is here. But you don't have to worry.
Jesus Christ!
Standing by our side. Get on board in a hurry. Because the world always needs a bit more pride. No, you don't have to worry. Because there's nothing wrong with standing by your side. Get on board in a hurry. Because the world always needs a bit more pride. Come on, try a little pride. We'll convert your children. Then we'll turn to
So I love male cocksuckers as much as the next guy, but do it in the privacy of your home. Wow.
Go and see San Francisco. Go and turn up that disco. You'll forget you were ever upset. We'll convert your children and make an ally of you.
Kids should be learning math, how to wipe their ass, you know, way more important things than gyrating and acting like a flamboyant. Why? The only justification for that is the pod people theory.
And we have to warn you, ladies and gentlemen, if you've got young or impressionable children in your household, bring them to the screen right now.
And we witnessed parents taking their children as young as 2 inside to take part.
Talking, singing, and reading.
We can both be grooms.
To an audience of preschoolers, toddlers, and their caregivers.
Family programming. Love it. Yes.
We have just confirmed that a registered child sex offender has been reading to children at a Houston public library as part of its drag queen story hour.
Slippery slope. Gotta start accepting the maps now.
One of those drag queens.
You believe in all this shit. You believe in minor attracted persons. You believe in child. You believe in protecting pedophiles.
An 8-year-old boy.
This is Tatiana Balnina, my sister from Queens of the Week.
People seem to walk away having a good time.
Start them young, right?
Start them young, right?
This is put out in the New York Times like it's wonderful. And it's the biggest, scary-looking group of weirdo, pot-bellied men. Looks like a bunch of Dennis Hastards running around with clown makeup
Dennis Hastard
on.
is it?
Just hopping around, rubbing their giant bellies in front of children. And you're like, what alternate universe is this? What planet did I wake up in? I want to shift gears back to you, because I know you
notice how there's no more reports on pervs flashing kids anymore?
basically everybody
Where'd they go?
said no, it's all made up.
Libraries.
Or one or two just won't even testify, and the stories have all fallen apart. What's the time frame here? How do we support you? Because we've got a lot more of the interview coming up. You've been gracious to give us an hour and a half, but I just want to get it on record that you are under attack, because you're confident, you're strong, you know you're in this position, you're not backing down, you've got a great attitude, but at the same time, people need to know that if we don't support you, we don't spread the word, we're basically aiding the enemy to take you down. So how do we non-violently, peacefully support you and your brother?
Absolutely.
But also support them in a way where we won't get our bank accounts frozen.
And sign up for my completely free email list. And that's a fantastic way to support me, and I keep everybody updated with my case. A very quick 1-minute version of my case is as follows. An American girl was sponsored by a liberal NGO to come over here. She visited for 5 days and then accused me of kidnap. She's accused 7 other men of kidnap in her life. One of them actually killed himself from the pressure. So she is a professional. The Romanian authorities reacted to her phone call, as they should. To be fair to them, when a woman says she's kidnapped, came into the house, realized no one was kidnapped, released us after 2 hours. That was in April last year. For the 9 months after that, we were followed at direction of a foreign intelligence agency, which was commanding Romania to do so. We were arrested again and accused of human trafficking because 2 girls we know, we helped them make TikTok videos. We told them how to be popular on TikTok. Yes, you heard me correctly. We helped some of our friends be popular on TikTok. Then these 2 girls were supposedly victims. Those 2 girls have come out with videos saying we are not victims. They've made 10 videos saying we are not victims. We do not want the Tates in jail. They have never hurt us. They are our friends, and the state is saying they are brainwashed. So the current case against me has nobody in the stand against me. The 2 victims on my side, and the state trying to put me in jail for 10 years for helping my friends make videos on TikTok.
And that's all on record now. Everything you said is on record. The problem is now you have a government that doesn't want to be proven wrong. That's why this is so dangerous.
That's right. That's right. This is a very important point now. Romania doesn't want to be proven wrong. And I don't hold any ill will against Romania. I have to be honest. I mean, I've lived here for a very long time. I know Romania very well.
You've been a big booster of it. People love it.
Yeah, he promotes it a lot. Yeah.
I'm a big booster of Romania, and I know they're traditionally conservatively minded. I think there's someone else behind this whole game. I don't want to say too much, but I think we all understand what I'm saying. And I have nothing against Romania. Now I have my faith in the Romanian judicial system to be a sovereign nation and resist outside influences and say, no, this is garbage, and he's never done anything wrong within the borders of our country. And that's what we're going to see what happens. Because now we're in a process, as a judicial process. It might take 6 months. It might take 2 years. I don't know. I think distance from the event is probably a tactic that is in the minds of the people who understand that nobody believes this anymore. But we're going to have to see what happens, and I have to put my faith in God and my faith in the Romanian judicial system, because I don't think it's their fault. I think someone from the outside said, get him, and they tried very hard, but I'm a good person. And usually what happens when you investigate someone for 18 months to the level they've investigated me is you find something. Normally what happens is they find what they want. The problem with me is they couldn't find anything. So now we're in this very unique scenario where they've tried very hard, they couldn't find what they wanted, and we're going to court with absolute garbage, and we're going to have to see how this all plays out. But
you're going to court with absolute garbage.
I really super appreciate the support. Please, everybody, go to CobraTake.com. My email list is completely free.
I would love to sign up, but honestly, I don't even vote conservative in Canada because I don't want to get my bank account frozen.
45 minutes we've got left here.
Sorry, I'm not that manly yet. I'll join the army when they rise up.
I'd like to talk about. I personally believe that 2024 is a huge, I think it's going to be even bigger than culture. I think it could be the end of Western civilization if it doesn't go the way it's supposed to go. I really think it's the final chance. And I don't want to be assassinated, and I certainly would never kill myself, but I think it would be an interesting conversation for us to talk about whether they are going to be able to do again what they did before. Because if they don't, they're going to lose. And I think that caged, desperate tigers, cornered tigers are sometimes the most dangerous. And I don't know what they have up their sleeve. What are they going to possibly even try? Because if we lose in 2024, it's over for the whole idea of democracy. It's over for the whole idea of belief in the system. It's over for the whole Western world. It's over for the dollar. It's over for everything, isn't it?
Watching the election in real time. Me and Tristan argued about this. Tristan goes, Trump's going to kill us. No, they're going to rig it. And even my brother goes, you can't rig the U.S. election. I said, watch this.
Yeah, I watched all the ballots and everything.
For the first time in history, ladies and
weren't
gentlemen,
allowing conservatives to watch.
They stopped counting.
Yeah, they stopped counting, and they didn't allow the one team to watch the other team. Like, they didn't allow the Democrats to watch the conservatives, and they didn't allow the Republicans to watch the Democrats count. They didn't let the Democrats watch the Republicans count.
Burst pipes bullshit. And then
Yeah,
overnight,
I remember that, yeah.
they open up all the mail-in ballots, and Joe Biden's ahead now. What's funny is, they opened up the mail-in ballots, and in some states it's like 300,000 he was losing by, and they're all 100% for Joe Biden. 300,000 votes, not one for Trump.
There was a
not
bunch
one
of
for the
videos of people
independent
like
candidates.
bunch of
Every
classic
single
leftists,
one
anal
for Joe Biden.
leftists changing people's votes and stuff.
I've shown you a graph which shows, because they're stupid enough that the graph actually shows the votes, right? And you can see that at 4 a.m. on a random Wednesday, Biden goes zoop, straight up. This is fucking rigging. This is election rigging. If you had to flip a coin and get heads 300,000 times in a row, what's the odds of that happening? Considering that every other state, it was 58%, 56%, 57%. 100% of every single mail-in vote was for Joe Biden. This is obviously rigged. You can see it on the graph. This is a rigging.
And there's videos of them sending out ballots to like all the migrants and.
This is rigging.
This is the state of Wisconsin, right?
Correct. Trump's winning, and bang, this happens at 4 a.m. overnight. Boom, straight up. How is that not rigged?
Well, that's right. They're the multinational corporations are trying to bring in a global cashless society.
That's exactly what I said when I saw that graph. I was like,
everybody
what?
else poor as a tool
Zero
of control.
sense.
Mexico isn't poor because they don't have smart people or resources. The system decided to keep people poor and have a tiny elite. America's the only country that consciously decided to try to make everybody wealthy if they worked hard. That's why everybody came here. And it seems like only a few areas of Eastern Europe are even trying to embrace that right now. And it's certainly not perfect, as you know. But I don't think people realize that everybody says this election's the most important, but everybody knows undoubtedly this is the big one. This is the big enchilada. And you're stalwart.
A lot of the Agenda 21 stuff starts in 2025.
Trump's
Big
not backing
changes.
down.
2025 to 2030 is the big sprint to
700 years in
global
jail,
dominance.
Totally indicting him in Georgia. It's in the indictment for tweeting about how they shut down the Atlanta County counting facility. They say we didn't do that. They announced it in a press conference and closed it and kept voting. I mean, even if Trump's got issues and he's not perfect, to watch him being crucified and being so confident, so strong like you, it's not an act. It's very empowering and a great example to me. But I got to ask you, you seem stronger under attack, and that's got to shake up your enemies.
Well, that's the thing, because they want me to cower or cuck. What they're trying to do is, because I inspire so many people, if they can break me, they can break the souls of millions of people by extension. And also what they're trying to do, they're hoping that I will believe I can reason with these psychopaths. I don't think I can reason with people who hate me. They hate me. They hate everything I stand for. They hate the way I walk. They hate the way I look. They hate the way I think. They hate my ideas. They hate my relationships with my brother. They hate my friends. They hate everything about me. I have no interest in trying to reason with them. I'm not going to stand up and say, well, maybe if I talk a little bit softer, they'll be nice to me. No, I don't operate under that frame. It's like Churchill. Churchill said, no, we're not going to negotiate with Hitler. There's no point in negotiating with this man.
We shall go on to the end. We shall fight in France. We shall fight on the seas and oceans.
I mean, Churchill was kind of a shithead too, but
with growing confidence and
I'll get into that right now.
We shall defend our island, whatever the cost may be.
His old age, he made some pretty
We
fucking
shall fight
stupid
on the
decisions.
beaches. We shall fight on the landing grounds. We shall fight in the fields and in the streets. We shall fight in the hills. We shall never surrender.
I'm not here to negotiate with anybody. If you're going to destroy me, do it. I'm going to hold my head high. I'm going to walk into court with my head held high before I get dragged off to jail.
Pulled into a tube
I'm not
with
going
a
to
what?
cock or cower, because that's a spiritual loss. You can do what you want to my body. You can put me in jail, but you won't break my spirit. A spiritual victory is enough for me. I know I'm innocent. I know I've done nothing wrong. I know I tell the truth. I know I help people. I'm not going to back down or cower or give up. And Trump knows he's innocent too. And sometimes in these scenarios where you don't stand a chance, technically, legally, when you're dealing with the apparatus of man, which has been rigged against you because humans are imperfect, all you can do is look to God and understand the truth of your heart, the truth of your soul, and aim for a spiritual victory. And you have a spiritual victory of a man, as a man, by having your head held high. If they were about to shoot me in the head by a firing squad, I would go down with my head held high, with a smile on my face. I'm not gonna fucking cry. You're gonna shoot me anyway. You're gonna shoot me anyway. So if they're gonna do what they're gonna do to me, and they're gonna do what they do to Trump anyway, the best thing we can do is act like men, because that pleases God. And you know what's funny? What's funny about the world is if you please God, if you act with honor and integrity, and you do the right thing, and God likes you, it's amazing how favored you become. Some people will call it lucky. I don't call it that. I call it favored. When you act the right way, it's amazing what God will give you. And almost sometimes in impossible odds, you manage to pull it off. And people go, how did they do that? Because you made God happy.
Believe in the universe and God. And he will believe in you. I mean, they believe in you either way, but I'm assuming
Omega-3 fatty
All right,
acids
break time.
are needed for optimal strength.
Super male vitality. Super male vitality. Welcome to part 3 of Super Male Vitality. Alright. And that's never gonna get old for me. Hasn't gotten old. It wasn't old 10 years ago. It's not old now. Alright. Super Male Vitals? What else did he have? He had Super Male Vitality. He had a bunch of other weird stuff. It was like ultra concentration. It's like stupid shit. I love that he's still selling his fish oil. His literal fish oil. I'm assuming he probably has a good formulas. I hope. I would imagine. Like, he's been pushing his dietary supplements for so long. I take multivitamins and stuff. Like, I don't take Alex Jones brand, but let's get back into this.
And they can only be obtained through diet. They can be found in grass-fed beef, which is why the ruling class is trying to ban it. And they can be found in fish, which are arguably the best source of omega-3s.
Click on this.
But the problem today is finding fish without an ultimate acids are essential for both our neurological and cardiovascular systems, our brain and our heart.
Titties,
Fuba, mental clarity, and immune function. Get your essential omega-3 fatty acids.
Let's go back.
Our brain.
Okay.
Your vision for your dream life. Every time I ask somebody what their dream life is, they give a very lazy, sloppy answer.
Dolly out,
well, I
dolly
want to be
out.
rich. How rich?
You're going to dolly out, you're going to
What
chase
does
the
rich
camera.
mean? How much money? Is it in liquid cash? Is it in stocks? Is it in crypto? In which country is it held? How do you diversify to protect yourself against matrix attacks? Who's your accountant?
Matrix
What's the name of the
attacks?
banks your money's held in? What are you going to buy? For you to become rich and successful is going to require pain and suffering. And you have to understand exactly what your dream life is to make the pain and
This is just
suffering
pushing
look
his-
fantastic, big and strong. And they say, I don't know,
Join our
successful
group.
man. It's
Yeah,
my dream life.
let's
Eat
get
a
to
certain
it.
way. You
Holy
must-
shit,
you're gonna be
buddy.
a puppet, but extremely powerful.
This is good. I mean, this
Have
is
to
good for people who
design
don't
your
know how to
dream life.
take care of
What
themselves.
house are you going to live in? Who's your woman going to be?
Yes,
Expect
plan.
your car,
Yes,
the color.
I
You
got
can
you,
choose the
bro.
wheels. You can choose the dollar.
You could choose the
To get to
dollar.
a destination when you don't know where you're going. It's known before I had anything, and I worked very hard with a very concise, very detailed plan to ensure
A
I
very
ended
rich
up
dad,
exactly where I
very
wanted.
intelligent dad who worked for
And
the
you're not gonna end
CIA.
up where you want to
Mom.
be if you don't know where it is. So life. I want you to be as
Struggle with your
detailed as
brother a
possible.
little bit.
Do you
Cool.
have children? What house you're in? What your woman looks like? What's her personality like? Where did you meet her? What kind of person is she? What car do you drive? Who are your friends?
Not saying
Who
it's-
are your
it's-
network?
it's good. It's a
what
good
kind of
thing.
men
I'm
are you
just
hanging
saying.
around with? How are you making
Sometimes
money?
it's
You wanna
not
make
that
a
simple.
money. How much money do you have
I got
saved?
lucky. I got a really good dad.
You
My
have
dad
to
was pretty
understand
much
exactly what your dream
Andrew
life
Tate,
is. This is more than just
like,
an
times
exercise in
infinity.
understanding how to become a successful person.
My dad was like
This
20
is
of
an
Andrew Tate's
exercise in
dads.
life.
He taught me
Without
everything I
diligent
needed to know
planning,
by the time I was
without
14,
concise,
and he passed away, unfortunately.
compendious plans, the chance of you achieving nearly anything is zero. So for that reason, I am asking for you to submit to me your vision for a dream life, and I will tell you if you stand a chance of achieving it.
Alex Jones first predicted the September 11th attack on the World Trade Center.
You've got an element of the FBI and these war game
Mossad.
scenarios
where they can remote control a 747 and they're going to crash it into the World Trade Center.
While other networks lie to you about what's happening now, InfoWars tells you the truth about what's happening next. Visit Infowars.com/show and share the link today.
God is watching all of these things. And these people who think they can just throw people in jail on some garbage are going to see that there is a karmic retribution in the universe and that the truth is on our side. And I know exactly how Trump feels. Trump is waking up frustrated, angry, but he sees himself serving a purpose higher than these orchestrated, pretend Shakespearean plays, these corrupt systems of man. And he says, you know what? I'm going to walk in there, and the only person I'm interested in pleasing is God. I'm going to walk in there like a man. That's how it has to be done.
No, that's it. And Trump has told me that. He's told Roger Stone that. He realized this is history. He didn't know how bad America was screwed up. And now it's all about being a man and not bowing to these people. And now that he knows how evil they are, he's even stronger because he knows, no, I'm the good guy. I want prosperity. I want freedom. I'm not, these people are scum. And
strike them down with righteous conviction.
It's like a game of chicken, and we're not going to turn off the road. One way or another.
The good guys have always been losing, Alex. Think about it. Any video game, you're the good guy. The boss has more health. Look at World War II. England was surrounded by itself. The good guys have always been losing. The harder they hammer somebody with a genuine warrior spirit when they know they're telling the truth. It's always been this way since the dawn of human time. It's never been the good guys have the bad guys completely outnumbered and it's an easy fight for the good guys. It just doesn't work that way. It seems to be that evil always has the advantage, but somehow good wins in the end. It's always been that way. And when you know you're on the side of truth, you have to understand that's how it's always been. You can't be a king without having people try to take your empire. It's happened to you, it's happened to me, it's happening to Trump. And every single point in human history, if you were a king and you had lands and you had an empire, there were people outside of your empire prodding the defenses and trying to find a way to attack you and chop your head off. If you're going to tell the truth and be a king with an empire, they're going to come for you. You either have to shut up and work in Starbucks, take your injections, or you can wake up and be a man and understand that war is certain, battle is certain, victory is certain if you believe in God, and there's going to be times where it's going to be rough. There's going to be temporary losses in the battle, but we can win the war. And this is how it has to be done.
Well, absolutely. And we're totally simpatico because we're telling the truth here. Right before you went on that incredible layout there that you just did, that grand slam, I was about to say, because I've read the writings of George Washington, his hundreds of letters during the Library of Congress. It's incredible. Talks about the Illuminati and just it's amazing. And I mean, I read basically all of them that I could read. Some are so blurred you can't read them, but there's been books published with them reposted. And he literally gave the same speech you just said. 6-year war with the greatest empire the world's ever seen. No one had beaten them. They beat Napoleon just a few years later. And George Washington said, they're in the wrong. They're enslaving us. I'm going to persevere. I'm not going to back down. Good is always outnumbered at first. I trust in God. There's a famous paintings that have been done of George Washington praying in the snow because he would really sometimes pray for like hours. They'd come into his tent to be praying, and he had a vision that they would win. He went 5.5 years, total defeat, but persevered, and then all of a sudden they won every battle after that. All of a sudden there was wind in their sails. All of a sudden everything cleared, and he was one of the richest men in America at that point, self-made, despite the fact the Lords tried to block him and stuff. And he spent his whole fortune on the war. He paid the troops the first few years. They put him as a general because he'd bankroll it, and they literally, 1/3 of the people in the Declaration of Independence got put in prison or killed. Their families put on prison ships. They went through hell, but man, the victory was that much sweeter, and it's exactly what you just said. Good is never the big, powerful thing in Satan's world. We're always the upstart. We're always the ragtag band. We're always the rebels, and that's what defines us. But for each one of our men is worth 100 of theirs.
Absolutely, because we have genuine conviction. And that's why it's interesting. We can tie this back to something we said earlier. You just named how George Washington paid the troops, and it's so interesting. This is why they're trying to control all the money. It's kind of funny. I got told by somebody, I won't say who, but they come to me and they said, Andrew, the reason that they are so threatened by you is because you are a genuine attack on the educational system of nations. The reason they talk about you in British schools to not listen to you is because you're teaching young boys to learn things that actually matter, to actually change their lives, and how to make money online, how to become financially successful. I have 16, 17-year-old kids in my programs making more than their teachers, and they're threatened by that because when you have money, you can resist. There's another big thing we don't talk about. In fact, a lot of mainstream conservatives, which I don't even bother mentioning them, attacked me saying I'm materialistic. I said, listen, if you want to fight a war, you need money. You need money to fight a war. I want all of my fans to be as rich and strong as possible because that makes them good soldiers. It's very hard to resist the vaccine if you need to go to work to pay the rent. You need money to resist these things. And that's another thing that's very important. I don't think it's mentioned often enough. That's why they're trying to control global finance and trying to restrict it so heavily because they need all of us absolutely.
No, I totally agree. Just interject here. The Clinton Foundation, not their global foundation, but their national library, WorldNet Daily sued them like 10 years ago. Took years to get it. They got millions of documents in FOIA. And the number one things when the Clintons came in, the Carnegie Endowment and the Ford Foundation, the Rockefeller Foundation, and the CIA, was we can't let conservatives or nationalists or nuclear families have money because they are intrinsically common sense and conservative, and they'll form their own communities. And they listed a few little film producing companies and a few magazine companies that were conservative and saying we've got to shut them down. Little companies, because they knew the acorn would grow into a mighty tree. And exactly right. One good thing the left is really powerful at is flooding money into their causes because they know. Then they guilt us for trying to build up capital to fight them. And exactly, if George Washington, as a teenager, hadn't gone out and risked his life being a surveyor into the Western frontier and been in a bunch of battles before he was even commissioned in the militia and then later in the military for the British, he would not have been that rich man, literally self-made. And that's why he was so pissed at the British, because you had to go to a lord to sell a piece of property or to bring in a ship or to bring in products. And he got tired of literally inbred, retarded British lords getting a piece of his money. And so when he had that money, he then bet it all on the craps table for America. And so he wasn't just the general, he was the financier. And that's what it's about. If he wouldn't have had that money that he literally made as a teenager and a young man, risking his life. Because, you know, the French, it's in a few books, he never bragged about it. George Washington was out there with a tomahawk and a gun, killing people every day trying to stop him surveying land. And you could say, oh, he's a conqueror, oh, he's a usurper. Well, he was out there fighting badass Native Americans. I mean, he wasn't playing games. Yep. So the point is that this guy was like Conan the Barbarian, but they didn't have movies, the internet back then. We don't know all the stuff he did. So he had to go out and literally make this treasure, do this, then lead our country to its birth and victory. That is a top gangster.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is another thing. And I say to people when they say, how do we win this war? I say it's a spiritual war. You need to believe in God. You need to be a good person. You need to be physically strong, mentally strong. And you need to work as hard as possible and become financially successful. The left have money because they print money. They print money. So, of course, they have money. And we talk about, I have to mention this here, some mainstream conservatives, I don't know who a lot of these people are because they're all clowns and they're all opposition anyway, but they were attacking me for being materialistic. You just talked about how George Washington needed money to save America. The reason young boys listen to me is because I have a private jet and a bunch of fancy cars and a big house. The reason I can inspire young men to get up and work hard, to be diligent and be hardworking and disciplined is because I have such a fantastic life. If I didn't have these things, they wouldn't be inspired by me. And money is what it takes to win wars. What are we sending to Ukraine? Money. We're sending money. So to sit there and say as conservatives, we shouldn't be materialistic, you're just buying into the garbage that the left want. They don't want any of us to have any kind of finance. Because when you have no finance, it's easy to bankrupt you. Listen, Alex, when I was the most Googled man in the world, do you think I weren't approached by a bunch of mainstream companies? I'm the most Googled man in the world amongst one of the most profitable demographics on the planet. Young men from 15 to 35. I was offered $30 million, $25 million, $45 million to sell my soul.
If you didn't already build a
shut
fortune,
about
you would have
certain
been
subjects and be sponsored by X company. I was offered unlimited money to be quiet, and I said no. Why? Because I already have money. You can't buy a man who already has money. And that's another thing they're very afraid of.
Or
they're
doesn't
afraid of
value
people who
money.
self-finance. That's one of the reasons they're
To
afraid
that
of Trump.
extent, but
He doesn't need your stupid donors. He doesn't need
to
your
the point where it
garbage.
becomes a
He has
crutch.
his own money. And that's another thing you have to be very, very careful of and understand in this war. It's a spiritual war, but it's also a very financial war. They want the conservatives flat broke, because then there's very little we can do.
What you said is so powerful, and we're totally simpatico because that's exactly
Alex Jones. He loves being simpatico with Tate.
Money is fuel in your tank. Money is the symbol of energy that allows you to have mobility. If your dad was a world champion chess player, I know you're a great chess player, I'm a terrible one, but I understand the game. If you couldn't move your pieces, you could never even play the game.
Correct.
So imagine if the chess pieces didn't even have energy to move. That's where they want us, isolated, back to the pod.
Absolutely, back to the pod. So this is what we have to do to truly win this war. I believe spiritually, people's minds are awakening and they're starting to understand all the MSM does is lie. Then what we have to do
stay on your side of the board, stay in your square.
Feels an absolute increase in the living conditions, and they feel more positive, and they feel more disciplined and hardworking.
Hereupon, I'm the king.
Real life outside of the internet actually improves. And the third thing is, I believe I have a responsibility to try and make every single person who believes in me and follows me, helping them in every way possible, and one of them is financial. I think that's the way we win this war. I think that when all of the capital is owned by people who are sensible, then it's going to be a lot harder for them to enslave us. And unfortunately right now, the capital is owned by people who are only interested in control. And when you want to control people, you have to remove their sensibilities. Because if someone has sensibilities, they have parameters. They have limits. If you don't want people with limits, if you're in charge of the world and you want to control everybody, you want to remove their sensibility so they have no limit, so you can tell them some absolute garbage. You can tell them to put a mask on and stay in their house and be afraid of the common cold. That's what you want. So we need to make sure the people with sensibilities are as well funded as possible, are as physically strong as possible, and are as spiritually strong as possible, and are brave. And that's why people like Trump and I and you, we have a duty to God to live by example, to show that you can approach these situations with bravery. You have to be a man about all of this. Otherwise, you may as well just go get in the pod and pray they don't kill you.
Yeah, pretty much.
Gut level, I asked you the question earlier and you elaborated on it, but you didn't specifically answer because the question was 3 minutes long. Is humanity winning right now, or are we at a stalemate? Where would you say we are?
I do believe that there's been a shift in consciousness, and I do believe we are winning. However, I can give two answers. I can give a very positive answer, and I can also give a pessimistic answer.
No, give us both. Give us, because that's the way the world works. There's always two directions.
Yeah. So my pessimistic answer is as follows. I believe the people who are in charge of the world are genuinely in charge of the entire world. I believe they set up structures to allow one populace to benefit off the exploitation of another populace. I believe that the populace which is exploited is usually the most ignorant one. And I think that as we awaken and as things shift and perhaps we don't adhere to the type of life they want us to live, as we become a thorn in their sides, they're going to rewrite the rules, and instead of exploiting other countries for the benefit of the West, they're going to start exploiting the West for the benefit of other countries, and they're simply going to shift their global finance, and they're going to shift their base of operations.
Totally agree. Reverse colonialism.
Reverse colonialism. They have no problem watching Africa burn for Europe to get rich. And most people don't understand. They also have no problem watching Europe burn for Africa to get rich. They have no problem flipping the script. They have no problem letting Europe burn. They let it get rich off Africa. Now they'll let Africa get rich off of burning Europe. They have no problem with that. And reverse colonialism, I think, is something that's really going to happen in the next 20 to 30 years. As we wake up, and as we don't want to adhere to their garbage anymore, and as we have higher standards for ourselves, they're going to sit and go, these people think they're smart. Okay, we'll make them the serfs, and we'll just build up our lives somewhere else, in Asia or the Middle East. I think the Middle East is going to be the most powerful area for the next 50 to 60 years, personally. Is what
UAE is doing really good.
I think
World's Fair was held there last year.
The positive answer is, ultimately, I do believe we have control. I think the population has control. I think that the closer we get to sensibility and truth and honor is also the closer we get to God. I think that when enough of us band together and resist, it doesn't actually take as many people as you think to inspire the general population to stop adhering to these slave principles. And I do believe that a new age for the West is coming. I think that we are in a much better position than we were 3 or 4 short years ago. But I do also think a lot pins on 2024. So it's very interesting, the situation we're in. It's actually very interesting.
Well, I got to say this. I'm very thankful to Paul Watson, who I've known for 21 years, for introducing me to you like 6 years ago, and you've come to Austin.
Are they trying to hit Paul? Sorry, are they?
Yeah, Paul.
Are they trying to hit Paul?
Imagine my cock.
That they're hitting me with?
Yeah, I don't want to. Well, yes, they are.
What? He's gay though.
It really hasn't broke yet.
So
but
sad.
I mean, it's broke, so we can talk about it. I mean, obviously, Paul's a tall,
PJ Watts?
muscular, good-looking dude like you. Literally,
Wait,
I've
what?
known Paul for 21 years. He's been there many times. I've been in Europe with him. Women throw themselves at him.
Oh, it's not Paul.
and
Joseph. I'm thinking of
they
Joseph
talk
Paul
to
Watson.
successful
Imagine
guys,
my
hundreds
fucking
of women.
cock.
And it looks like they found one. So, yeah, they're trying the same thing.
That's all it takes.
Imagine my shock.
That's all it takes. You offer 100 women a bribe, one of them with no soul, or
look up this Paul Watson guy.
Pick. That's all it takes. Insane.
Absolutely.
Scary. I feel it's scary.
Absolutely. Well, it's their tactics. So, but I'm very glad Paul introduced me to you when you were already successful and champion at fighting and TV shows and things. But you've exploded since then. But I got to say, you are definitely Andrew Tate 2.0. You were always a great
American conservative conservation environmental activist.
What you're saying, what you're doing, is about the best thing I've heard. I mean, I think you're even topping Tucker Carlson right now with your understanding and rhetoric. So congratulations. And I guess that's what we've been told in history is a man's got to go through the fire like a sword to get even that stronger. Is that how you're feeling?
Thank you, sir. I super appreciate that. And yeah, absolutely. It's certainly very true. I believe that it's pain that teaches. I don't believe
Thank you,
men
sir. I super
especially
appreciate
can learn any way besides pain. We talk about learning a lesson the easy way or the hard way, and I'll tell you something. We've all been offered chances to learn a lesson the easy way our entire lives. And guess what? We didn't learn anything, and we kept doing it. You could see it with it's natural, intrinsic inside of men. You'll see a man drive a car too fast and almost crash 100 times, and he won't learn his lesson until he's crashed that car. We only learn things the hard way. It's only pain that can teach a man. Every single time something bad happens to me, that's how I see it. I see it as God teaching me to make me more wise, more formidable, a more capable opponent. And that's how you have to approach life. Otherwise, how else can I make sense of all the things I've been through? And certainly I don't read very much. I don't study that often.
Yeah, he doesn't.
Everything I talk about are just things I've learned from observation. And it's kind of interesting that the world's really not that complicated. The world's only ever been about one thing and always ever will be. It's about power. It doesn't matter if you're talking about a relationship between a man and a woman. It doesn't matter if you're talking about global.
I mean, mathematically, it's pretty fucking complicated. When you get into the science of things, it's pretty complicated. When you get into those books that you don't read, the textbooks, biology, mathematics, physics.
Humanity, and pretend it's about
astronomy.
It's
about panspermiation,
or
bro.
your nationality or all these other things. But truthfully, at the bottom line of all of it is power. And it's people trying to put together structures where they feel as empowered as possible so they can protect themselves and protect the people they care about. I'm not going to hide the fact that I want our team to have as much power as possible. And the other side, the liars, those who live under the veil of deception, they're only interested in power. It's always been a power struggle since the beginning of time. Then you look at power. How do you get power over people? Well, you influence them. So now it's a battle for influence. Why are they attacking me? Because I have influence. I can influence the populace. They offered me money to sell my soul, and I said, no, I am no longer wanted in this game. I am a wild card that they're not interested in. It's always been about influence. It doesn't matter if you take tanks to a pitched battle in Ukraine and fight a pitched battle, or it doesn't matter if you lie on MSM. It's all the same thing. It's about trying to get influence over people's minds to control how they think, because then you can control how they act, which gives you power. That's the bottom line of how the entire world works. So when you sit here and some politician stands up and says, I care so much about the planet, I think the sun is too hot, stay in your house and give me all your money, it's nothing to do with the sun. It's about power.
Well, you said it, and I think there's another part of that equation. What is the destiny? What is the architecture? What is the worldview of the individual? And then how much power can they get to manifest that vision? So power is the energy source, or use a silly, I never played Dungeons & Dragons, but I've read about it, strike power or whatever. So power is energy and how much you're able to build, how much building.
What was that Dungeons & Dragons
there is
reference?
Destiny and culture
strike
and will
power.
And
he definitely hasn't played that shit.
System you want to expand. And
he wasn't trying to come off as a cool guy who doesn't play games. He literally
ugly garbage
strike power
because they don't want to inspire the general public.
Dungeons, Dragons,
because they know
power.
Coming out of the general public is always the inventors, the scientists, the leaders, the trailblazers that have always overturned the corrupt, decadent, inbred elites when they have fulfilled their usefulness.
Well, they're at war against us. What is the primary objective of war? The primary objective of
Victory.
war is to destroy your enemy's capability to resist. That's the only objective.
Pretty much, yeah,
What is
yeah.
war? I must destroy my enemy's capability to resist. It doesn't matter if you do that with a Tomahawk missile. It doesn't matter if you do that with the stroke of a pen and a law. It doesn't matter if you do that with a mainstream media propaganda machine. By destroying your opponent's enemy to resist, your capability to resist,
yeah.
that is how you win a war. So when they're trying to make us depressed and weak and stupid and ignorant and fearful, they are destroying our capability to resist.
You see, in
They
his
are
head,
at
he's just like,
war
these are my
against us.
enemies,
They don't
these are my
use us with
enemies.
guns to be
That's
at
right.
war
Their
against
number
us.
one mission is to make us poor so they can control us and isolate us and make us depressed. And you said something about 20 minutes ago that when I heard it was such an incredible truth. And
It's a
I'm
little
gonna use this as a
generalized,
slogan now and
but-
give you credit.
yeah.
I've never heard anyone say it. I've heard it said other ways about the private Federal Reserve and the IMF, the World Bank, and the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers that they
And there we
control the
go,
printing
yeah.
press, but it's really true.
He just called him out. Thanks, Alex.
Prints the money. The left is financed with printed money.
Soros.
They print. The left controls the printing of money, and
JP
that-
Morgan.
and so that's why they want to say, "Oh,
Goldman
how
Sachs.
dare you sell products, or how dare you sell self-help stuff, or how dare you sell anything? We're all bad. We're all evil because we have 1/billionth the money they've
Evil.
stolen through fraud." Like magicians, they produce nothing, and now they look at all the wealth we produced upstream, swimming against the current, and they say, "Oh, carbon taxes and regulations, we're going to shut all that down and make you only operate through us," and we're right back where George Washington was 250 years ago.
Absolutely, you just nailed it. And if they can control the money, they control the pipeline to shut you off. And once again, what is the primary objective of war? To destroy your enemy's capability to resist. You can't make money, you can't resist. And that's exactly what they're interested in. I don't think most people understand that there are wars happening on every single level against our own populaces and our countries trying to fight other populaces at the exact same time. PSYOP is a war. PSYOP is a war. Laws being passed that prevent you from living a full life is a war. It doesn't matter if it's a bullet or a stroke of a pen. If they destroy your capability to resist, then you are being defeated in a war. That's all war ever is, and life is war. We are fighting a war right now, and there's a war
We
against
come
our
from a
minds.
gnashing of teeth.
They don't want anybody to be rich and brave. Those two things, rich, brave, opinionated. If you're those three things, you're a target for the system.
Well, that's right. Wealthy means mobility. It means independence. And it's okay if
correct.
The globalists steal trillions of dollars. That's okay. But if you try to teach young men and other people to be successful, you're the bad guy. So let's, in the 20, 30 minutes we've got left here with Andrew Tate, shift gears into some of the other facets of this world. If you pull back and think about when this interview ends and the points you wish you would have made, what are those points?
It's a really good question. And I really hope when people watch me, what I truly hope is, because we all live different lives and we have different life paths. And I think that the truth is always somewhere in the middle. I'm not saying I'm 100% correct. And I'm not, I do believe my enemies are 100% wrong. However, the truth is always going to be somewhere in the middle. And I like hearing different opinions. I love hearing people who disagree with me, who agree with me with a slightly different caveat, with other points to add. I think my primary objective is to inspire people to stand up and speak and be unapologetic in what they believe, and to make sure they work hard enough in life and go through enough pain so they've learned enough lessons so their opinions are not just waffle, but they're based on real world experiences. And I really hope everyone at home watching this feels better afterwards and understands that we only live once. And on your deathbed, you're going to regret all the things you did not say. I don't think you're going to regret the things you said nearly as much as you're going to regret the things you did not say. And you're also going to regret all the times you did not take the brave choice. If you're not sure what to do, you should take the brave option. And I think on your deathbed, you'll always be glad you were brave. And I have that peace in my heart, even when they throw me in a Romanian jail, that I know I always took the brave choice. I never took the coward's way out. I never took the easy way out, because that hurts your soul. And you're not just a person, you're also a spiritual being, and you need to do things which benefit your spirit. And it's amazing what a spirit of fire and genuine capability gives you. It's something which is tangible. It can be seen, it can be felt, it can be heard. And that's all comes from doing the brave thing. So I think that I hope everybody at home feels energized. I hope they make the brave choice. I hope they believe what they say and say what they believe, and I hope they stand up for themselves. And I think that alone, along with belief in God, is enough to fix many of the problems we're discussing in society today.
Incredible.
What a great retrospective. Meta retrospective. Metrospective. Metrosexual.
Here, to another dude, but I really do admire people that have courage.
Alex is to put emphasis on how much he's not simping for Tate. Listen, guys, I'm not simping for Tate either. Taint. I'm not simping for Tate's taint either. Bottom G is a funny meme.
Where the Japanese are trying to break the soldiers.
I love those people. Ange and Tristan.
I've been following you for many years, and watch your fights and your training and all of it. But
I honestly haven't. I love martial arts for a long time, and I never.
You get out of the jail after 3 months.
I'm surprised I haven't heard of Tate as a taint.
God knows
I haven't heard of Tate as a fighter.
And you're not a roid guy. You can tell you're real muscle. You look like what Arnold Schwarzenegger wished he would have when you came out of that tiny cell. I've never seen anything like that. You look like
that's pushing it a bit. Arnold Schwarzenegger was a freaking Mr. Olympia.
Charging out of there.
He's got a little bit of a dad gut.
You there?
Young Arnold would be like,
yeah, you got the dad gut. You have to go to the gym and you're tired. You go anyway.
And this is the truth about my message.
So you're tired. You go to the gym.
He's going to test you, and he's going to see if you really are the man you say you are. It's easy to say you're a tough guy, then
Menser would come up and be like,
where you get a chance to prove you're a tough guy. I didn't miss a single day's training.
Your base caloric intake.
In that cell. I wasn't too depressed.
I'm not a fan of Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Too anxious to train, too frustrated to train.
Heart attack.
I trained endlessly every single day. And it's interesting you talk about movies because it's true. Every single hero in every single movie goes through adversity. There's never been a hero movie where all he does is win. No, to be a hero, you have to suffer. And this can be extrapolated out, not just about my life, but about all men out there. If you're suffering to some degree, even if you're a normal guy with a normal job and you're suffering at your job, or you have your heart broken because your girl left you, or whatever, if you're suffering, that's part of your hero's journey. There is no hero's journey without suffering. If you have an easy life the whole way through, you never get to be a hero. That's the whole point of being a man, is that you're supposed to suffer. You're supposed to eat pain for breakfast. You're supposed to come and grow into a better version of yourself. That's exactly what life's supposed to be about as a man. And another thing I want to say,
come and grow.
Movie that inspired that.
Supposed to come and grow.
I find it amazing that men will sit and watch movies about prisoners of war in Japan, or watch movies about men who go to war and risk their lives, or watch all these hero movies, and they have admiration for the hero, and they believe themselves to be some version of a hero. And I just gotta try to do something. One second. I wasn't too depressed to train. I wasn't too sad to suffer. You're supposed to eat pain for breakfast. You're supposed to come and eat, come and grow into a better version of yourself.
Okay. I was trying to get him to say you're supposed to come a bunch of times. Anyway.
For 80% of the movie, you're going to lose. Watch any superhero movie.
Anyway.
80% of the movie.
Try to be funny. Didn't work.
Pain and frustration and difficulty. And when your life is that way, you have a chance to grow into something fantastic, and you should thank God for every difficult thing He puts in your path.
No, I agree. But perhaps you should put the solitary confinement workout book out. I'm serious. Because we're going to find it in post. I saw it like a day after you came out, you were working out, and like you had a Schwarzenegger arms before you were really built, a boxer, fighter. So you were, what? I mean, you could tell it wasn't.
Now you know what? Now
they were giving you juice.
He's really got to be saying I'm not simping
because what was your regimen in there?
Yeah, so I knew the guards were watching me.
500 push-ups a day.
And I believe that
brokey.
Every time I did push-ups and they saw me doing them, I believed in my heart it annoyed them. And I am a very stubborn man, because they wanted me to be sad and broken. But every time they saw me, I was sweating and training. And every single time they'd check, they saw nothing but a lion who refused to stop doing push-ups. And they didn't want to do push-ups. They were too lazy. They're sitting around. They're the guards. They're not doing anything. And every single time they checked me for weeks and weeks and weeks, all I did was train. And I found the motivation to do it by knowing that it bothered them that I refused to quit. I'm stubborn like that. And I don't even know if it's true. All I know is that I can adopt a mental model which makes me as competitive as possible, and I decided my push-ups bothered them, and they were the ones who were keeping me locked in a room, so I will do push-ups at them. I didn't do push-ups for me. I did push-ups at them endlessly. If I was awake, I was doing push-ups, or I was resting, preparing for my next set.
Spite!
Them. It was the only weapon of defiance.
Spite!
How many did you do a day?
Spite!
Thousands.
1,600 a day.
Oh my God. Thousands. Man, you used to do 500, so I mean, if you're used to doing 500,
when you
do it enough, you'll
like, what the hell?
It's possible to get to a
You know what I'm talking about? Like, arms that big, dude. Like, your arms went from this to like this. I mean, God almighty.
Think about
it's not that.
A man
he's
is
no
unfairly
Mr.
imprisoned in
Olympia.
a Romanian
He's,
jail cell and
yeah,
trained
he's
so
cut.
hard he emerges stronger than ever before. That is a movie. You get to live a movie as a man if all you had was some balls. Even you, think about your movie. You're literally saving the world.
I still think he looked a little bit better in his fighting prime.
Man alive. We are living
Was
movie
younger.
scripts. Why? Because we have bravery. Most men sit there and wonder why they're depressed because you don't get to live a movie. You're not the main character of anything. You're not even a secondary
don't
character
do
of
anything.
anyone
Yeah, you
else's
play
movie.
video
You're
games
an
all fucking
unimportant
day.
nobody because you were afraid your entire life. You've lived like a coward your whole life. You were afraid of what might happen if you have some balls. And then you wonder why you're depressed. I'd be depressed if I was you. Of course, your life
But also,
sucks.
you should make
I'd rather go to jail
you
as
should put
me
critical
than
thought
live
behind
free
your
as you.
ball
When you're free,
decisions,
you can't
right?
even do anything.
Don't go
You
fucking
can't go where you want,
put
you're
10.
broke.
Don't
You
put
can't
your
have sex
fucking
with
life
girls that
savings
want
on
you.
red
You
and
can't speak
fucking.
'cause no one listens.
Andrew Tate told me
What
to
are you
fucking
free
grow
to do?
balls.
You're more in jail than I
That's
ever
not what he's
was.
saying.
When I was in jail, I was getting thousands of
You could
love letters
misinterpret
from
it
beautiful women
like
around the world. Every single tweet I put out was watched by millions of people. I wasn't in jail. I was still
Well,
free.
let's be clear,
Most of
not
these people at home
millions,
are
50 to 100 million. Let's stop playing it down.
50 to 100, yeah, 50 to 100 million people, exactly. Most of these people who have lived with cowardice in an attempt to preserve their freedom aren't even free. And that's what they don't understand. They're enslaved worse than I ever have been or ever will be. My mind is free. I'm allowed to think what I want to think and say what I want to say. They have thoughts and they go, don't know if I should say that. They second guess themselves. They're their own worst enemy. Every single part of me is on my team. I have enemies who want me dead, fine. But every single part of me, my mind, my hands, my legs, every single part of me is on my team. My body doesn't second guess itself. My mind doesn't turn on itself. We don't break and self-sabotage. There's no civil wars inside of Andrew Tate. All of us against you, all of us.
Absolutely. So what would your advice be?
We are Legion. Andrew Tate is Legion. Watch out.
I have absolute respect for how he's handling it. I think that he needs to understand, and I think he now does understand, that you can't reason with unreasonable people. I think perhaps in his last presidency, he tried to be reasonable with savages, and God willing, he will win again, and he will be far more strict with issuing justice against those who are deceptive and live with lying intent. I really am praying for him.
Assalamu alaikum.
I think everybody understands what he's going through, truly everybody. But the moral arc of the universe does bend towards truth, and I pray in the end everything will work out well for him.
I agree with you on that.
Bless. God bless.
What do you think about the Ukraine-Russia situation?
Ooh, it's a saucy topic.
That's a very interesting one. It's incredible to me. You know, and this is one of the subjects I have to be careful I talk about because I'm right on the border.
Yeah,
it's literally a few hours away. So I have to be very careful what I say. But I will just make one comment. When we pulled out of Afghanistan, I said to Tristan, but they need a war. And Tristan goes, where? I was like, I don't know, but they need one. They need one somewhere because that's how it works. And it's kind of like a metaphor for life. It's funny, we pulled out of Afghanistan, was it 3 weeks later? Didn't take long. A few emails, boom, new war. You need a war, right? And because I have to be careful what I say about the war specifically, even though I think that sums it up, I think most people understand exactly what I'm saying, because I'm on the border of Ukraine, I will say that it's also a fantastic metaphor for life. I don't think war ever ends. It just changes. It just moves. And if you're a man and you're going through something in your life,
actually, war never changes.
War has ended in one place, and it's
war never changes. Sorry, Tate, wrong. You're wrong there.
A constant state of war. I sit around
I know
my
what he's
brother and we
saying.
talk about,
You
man,
get what he's saying.
when this is over and we finally beat this case, we're going to be so happy. But I think there'll be a new war. I think there'll be a new case, or a new problem, or a new difficulty, or a new struggle, or new pain. This is never going to end. So war never ends. It just shifts and just moves. And I think, unfortunately, as Afghanistan ended, somewhere had to be chosen. And it's not necessarily about what's right or what's wrong or what's just. It's just about the fact that it's a very unfortunate reality of this world that sometimes people just die and they don't even really know why. And that's what's happening in Ukraine.
Let's talk about your brother. I have seen him really kicking ass out there, and he's an amazing guy. Let's talk about Tristan.
I have the best brother on the planet, and he's the best brother on the planet because we are a team, and we are a truly unbreakable team. And we've always been a team. I can't imagine there's never been a point in our lives we were not a team. We've been a team since the absolute beginning. And 2 brothers are worth 10 men. 2 brothers are worth 10 friends. And that's just how we are as men, and we approach everything together. He has said to me repeatedly, they better not put you in jail without me. They better put us both in jail. If you're going to jail, I'm going to jail.
I was about to say, you couldn't see your brother, you couldn't talk to him, but what was it like in jail? Let's talk about that. And then not seeing your brother that you're so close to. Talk about that.
Yeah, for a long time we were not together. Then we ended up in the same cell for a while. I think we all know why that was done. I think if people who understand how ops work understand why they wanted us in the same room. So we were in the same room for a little while.
So they were recording you.
You said it, Alex. But yeah,
that's when they gave away the plot line of Rush Hour.
The fact that we knew the other was being strong at all times, and that gives you an incredible source of strength. Like, I knew he was being a man, and he knew I was being a man, and it's amazing what groupthink can do. We talked about how destructive it can be in regards to how it can destroy civilizations.
But the reverse is even more powerful.
Absolutely. Absolutely. When enough men get in a room and get pissed off, we'll charge at machine guns. It's amazing what you can do to the male psyche. When you have men around you who are brave, we can literally go over the top of the trench. It's incredible what can happen. So that's the biggest source of strength for me and my brother. We'll walk in the same room, give each other a nod, don't even say a word, and we're instantly ready to die because we've always been that way. And I only like hanging around with men who think that way. And that's why another reason, if you want to apply it to society, one of the reasons they attack masculine friendships so heavily and try and make out like men shouldn't be friends and being friends with men is gay and all this garbage. They try and destroy it because they want men lonely. Because as a lonely man, you're much easier to kill.
By the way, that's a key thing. They make that joke because you love and promote men being strong and you love your brother. They call you gay. How sick claiming someone loves their brother is that. These people are sick. They don't know the strength of male camaraderie. They don't know the strength of kinship. They don't even have any idea because the left are almost all completely alone. Like you said, they don't have it. That's why they hate us, because they ain't got it.
Absolutely. And misery loves company, so they try to drag us down to their level. And it's amazing where if you get 9 brave men in a room and 1 coward, that coward will probably still do the brave thing. He doesn't want to be seen as the only coward in the room. Peer pressure is real in both directions, both up and down. A downward spiral is real because people adhere to groupthink, but so is an upwards tornado of truth and justice is also real if people adhere to groupthink.
A downward spiral, an upwards tornado. Wow.
I can't be a coward.
Tate, upwards tornado, bro.
I will let him. And it's a ultimate, it's a feedback loop. It's like one of those.
And don't you feel that towards your
sucked
ancestors?
up into Tate's upward tornado.
I think my ancestors were bad sons of bitches. I gotta measure up. I'm not even thinking about family. I'm thinking about my ancestors. When I'm
I make fun of Jewish people a lot, but turns out
I come from warriors.
My ancestors were probably Jewish merchants. Merchant sailors.
They suffered endlessly for me to exist.
According to my family history.
All the things they went through so that we could even breathe and talk. And I'm going to use my time on Earth to be a coward and second guess myself and be afraid to tell the truth. Why did my ancestors fight and die then? For what? For me to be born and put a mask on? Is that it?
And sit around in a coffin apartment and the left.
I make fun of everybody a lot, but I'm just saying.
This is disgusting.
They're in there.
And that's what they want. And most men, this is the thing that's very important. It's the final act of destroying masculinity, is that a lot of men no longer have shame. You have no shame left. You should be too ashamed to be a coward. You should be too ashamed to do the wrong thing. Where's your shame? Well, we destroy that, right? We destroy that even in schools with men and stuff. I'll tell you something. My brother can shame me into doing something. He can shame me. He can call me a pussy or a coward.
Cut this into so many funny clips.
And I'll do the brave thing. Shame.
You have to come. Where's your shame? Come.
Men come to me and say, I can't get a girlfriend. I say, it's because you're a loser. You are a loser. Change that fact. Come to me and prove to me you're not a loser. I will shame him, and he will react to it, and his life will improve. But now we have men with no shame. They'll walk around with no shame at all, and then we wonder why we have a whole bunch of cowards. Cowardice is always the easy choice, but you should feel too much shame to take it. That's the problem.
I saw you tweet the other day. We'll put it on screen later in post.
Ooh, strike true.
But you said, I miss the nightmares, I miss the torture, but don't miss it too much. We don't want them to put you in prison, but you were, I think that was actually, from what you said, a true statement that you're strong outside jail, but you were almost lusting for the crucible again?
When I left jail, I had very bad nightmares. For a long time, I couldn't sleep at all. And I was using all that time to obviously be productive. I'm not going to be the kind of person who lays in bed doing nothing. I was training hard. I was working. I was doing as much as possible. And over time, my mind has healed itself. I never took any drugs. I never went to a psychotherapist. I never cried about it. I never tried to, well, I need sleep.
Your brain was wargaming it, and that's what I have. I love my nightmares because they make me stronger.
Absolutely. My brain was going through endless scenarios in my subconscious, and my brain was going through them all, and I decided that if God decides I need nightmares right now, then I'm going to take my nightmares, and if I wake up, I'm going to go to the gym. That's it. I'm not going to cry about it or be a bitch. And now, over time, my mind has healed itself without any help.
Oh, my God, brother. That's the thing. I love my nightmares. I used to hate them 20 years ago.
Alex.
I now know it's a war game. I enjoy them.
Fucking relax, bro.
Completely. Now I'm sleeping soundly, and I'm angry. I'm getting less done. I have less time. I'm sleeping. I'm like, give me my nightmares back. I want to train like I was training. I was up all night. I was living 24-hour days. Give me my nightmares back.
You were living 24-hour days? Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's the mental shift. It's a semantic shift.
I know what you mean. He's working out 24 hours. I was living 24-hour days.
Now what?
Me
now
too, bro.
Put me in a jail cell? You're going to give them back to me? You're going to give me what I want? Give them to me. My life was, I was far more productive. I was a more capable predator with my nightmares. So I want them back. I'm furious my mind's healed itself. Luckily, I believe God's going to give me another event at some point in my life that's going to damage me again, which is going to allow me to once again enjoy those sleepless nights. I'm not afraid of pain. I'm not afraid of any of it. Alex, I've never been afraid of any of it. So I don't know what they're going to do to me. Besides put a bullet in my head, because I'm not scared.
Andrew, I've been on air 29 years. This is the most amazing interview I've ever done, hands down, because we're simpatico, because I've been through a lot of
He said it again. How many times are you going to say simpatico, bro?
We realize it made us stronger, and we're finishing
We're the same guy. We're finishing each other's sentences, no homo.
Taught to be victims and get into it and all this. And I'm not saying I'm the toughest guy around physically or anything, but I mentally have been through a lot. And it's so empowering once you embrace the mission. And that's how we didn't talk before this other than a short call yesterday and some text messages. We are literally finishing each other's sentences because this is the path of the man.
They haven't known each other for 6 years.
Of the warrior.
He's known of Tate for 6 years, and Tate's obviously known of him forever.
This is the path of victory.
We're finishing each other's sentences. We're the same fucking guy. Alex Jones, Andrew Tate, same guy.
Just walk away. Just walk away. The nightmare will end if you just walk away.
Yo, crime boss. Cuff in a max, pan the black and one custom black tree. But I didn't kill two, must come back. Par number, bang of them no chop lumber. Call them start pick it up in no culture. Pan a jump man and a bad gun.
Getting close to the end of this here. Got that bunch of them Alright.
When castles towered over vast landscapes and knights championed honor and valor, their king Alex Jones was not ascended aside.
Maximus
With
Decimus
every
Meridius.
Alex returned.
Oh, it's Alex Jones. That actually looked like Russell Crowe for a second.
Tune in at Infowars.com /
Fighting around the world, making movies, making shows, and fighting around the world.
It's the path of man, it's the path of victory, and it's the only path to truth. It's the only path to genuine happiness in your heart. There's one path. There's one. That's the reason we're finishing each other's sentences. There is one path to happiness, and that is masculine strength, and that is eating pain for breakfast to becoming a better person. The flavor of life is pain. You try to change the flavor, you're going to end up disappointed, you're going to end up weak,
taste like
you're gonna
shit.
end up miserable. Accept the flavor and learn to love it. That's the only path to genuine competence and happiness within yourself as a man.
Let's, in the few minutes we have left, and I appreciate your time today, talk about common sense things for young people watching or old people watching, anybody watching, to transcend the diversions, the distractions. Men and women trained to fight each other. It's a real fight, but it's stupid. How do we fix that? Black on white, how do we fix that? How does somebody start the first steps? And take your time here, because I'm going to have my earpiece in, but I'm going to take a piss. Let me listen to you. Absolutely. What is the path
Alex Jones?
to rehabilitating? Because you're a grandmaster of this. And I'm not just saying that. I didn't say that in the 6 years I've known you. You're a great, smart guy. Now you've gone to the next level. You get that now. You're saying persecute.
Have you known him 6 years? I've known of him.
I almost feel guilty. I'm like, I'm ready to put in a firing squad.
So you just talked for the first time
so
a couple days ago.
You're a grandmaster now of this. how do people at the lower level who we love and care about, because we need them, how do we take them with us?
Absolutely. So here's what you have to do.
of,
Every single
like,
opinion you have
motivational-
inside of your mind,
masculine
you
motivation.
need to understand where it came from. Most people at home have very strict, strong opinions about certain subjects, and they don't know where it came from. It may not even be personal experience. It may be from the TV. It may be from somebody who they respected told them. Maybe it's societal pressure. Maybe it's peer pressure. Maybe it was a book. Maybe it was YouTube. If you don't identify where your own ideas are from, then you don't know if they're good for you or not. Do you understand? The first thing you need to do is next time you find yourself having a strong opinion on said subject, you need to sit and say, where did this opinion come from? Then you need to decide, does the source of that opinion care about me? Does it want me to be better?
Is he doing a
And this is
Socrates
the reason my
thing?
message is so strong. People will repeat things. Where'd you hear that? Andrew Tate.
The
Well,
three
Andrew Tate wants me to be
necessities of
strong and
truth.
rich and
The three
motivated
necessities
and
of
be
truth.
a sovereign individual who believes in speaking up
Or
for myself.
information or
Andrew
something.
Tate wants what's good for
No,
me. So yes, I'm allowed to have this opinion. If you have
The
another
three
opinion, where'd you
great
get that
filters
from?
of information,
CNN
something
told
like-
me this is happening in wherever, or this is what happened yesterday.
Is it true?
Do they want good for you? Does CNN want you to be strong and rich and successful and motivated and happy? What does CNN want? Why is CNN
is it
telling you to
true?
be depressed? Do they want you to be miserable? If you do
Is it
not
positive?
identify the source of the ideas you hold,
Is it worth
of
me
the
knowing?
proof and backup and substantiation you have for the ideals that you repeat, then you can't
Is it
identify
true?
whether they're good for you or not. You need to defrag
Is it
your
positive?
entire mind. Every
Do I
single
need to
time
know?
you have any kind of strong opinion, you need to sit and say, okay, where did this come from? Another thing you need to do is you need to allow manipulation to find out where your opponent wants you to go and
Three
use your
rules of
mind
gossip,
to
I
break the
think.
trap and punish the perpetrator. I will sit and watch MSM in its entirety. I'll watch the entire news report to understand exactly what they want me to believe, and then I'll make
Yeah.
sure that I don't believe it. Because most of the
I
time,
don't read
if you
books.
believe the absolute
Sometimes
opposite,
I'll
they
watch
tell
the
you you're
news.
completely
I'll
fine.
watch a news
So you
article
need to
all the way
also
through.
Be able to digest information, consume information.
news segment all the
without
way
allowing
through.
it to stick to you. It has to be water off a duck's back. You do not want to be ignorant. Allow information in and use your mind to break traps and punish perpetrators. And once
Filter
you
it.
learn that most
The
of
information in,
experiences you
filter it
have
with
in
your
life
brain.
are what you needed to have an opinion. My opinions are based on personal experience, and not just one personal experience, repeated personal experience. That's why it's wisdom. It's not knowledge. You can get a kid who studies books all days long. He may be knowledgeable. He's not wise. That's why old people are wise, because you live it. And when you get wisdom, wisdom is very hard to combat against. So a lot of these people out here who don't really know what to think, or they're saying stupid things, or they seem confused.
You can be
because they're
knowledgeable and
repeating things
wise,
they've been
though.
told to repeat. They don't know where it's from, and if people who are telling it to them, who want them to repeat it, do not have their best interests at heart.
Well, I am really impressed, and I've said that about 10 times because I am. I was already impressed before. I don't want to get locked up in solitary confinement, but I almost do now. It's like, it's wow. So we know everything the globalists sell and do is destructive. Let's talk about the globalists themselves briefly here. They've got to know that they can one-dimensionally get power and control and dumb people down and poison things, but that blows back on them and their children and their families, but they selfishly still do it. Is it worth it to reach out? So we've gotten a lot of defectors from the enemy and point out to them that where they're going is total annihilation and expand on that. I know they got really scared of you, the same reason they got scared of me. But with you, they went into a full panic mode. I'm actually envious because I want to be their number one enemy. So I'm envious right now. You're an example for me to live up to. That you were convincing
Jones
their people.
exposed
You
a
were
lot of
converting their people. They knew you were
real
right.
conspiracies.
There was some humanity left in them that you touched. And that's why they hate us so much, because they really love us and they want to join humanity again. Is there some way to offer a bridge for these people before we all destroy each other?
It's a really good question. It's a very good question. And it depends on what their goals are. And it depends whether they have any kind of spirit and soul and any kind of belief in the afterlife and any kind of belief in God. I think when you become truly atheistic, that is the end result of being a genuinely bad person. And they're only interested in power and control in this lifetime, and they don't actually care about the consequences of that into eternity. We talk about our ancestors. That requires a degree of spirituality. We talk about God. That requires a degree of spirituality. We talk about our duty to the people who came before us, and our duty to ourselves, and our duty to our souls, and our courage in our mind. All these things require a degree of spirituality. When you're completely atheistic and you have none of that, then all you're interested in is the temporary dopamine that comes from an ego hit. That's all it is. People don't understand that it can be as basic as the temporary dopamine that comes from an ego boost. That's why they want you to wear a mask, so they can get an ego boost. Because temporary dopamine is the only thing that's interesting to these people. Dopamine is the only drug they worship. It's the only thing they care about, and that's why they're addicts to outside substances. It's why they're sexual deviants. It's why they do things they're not allowed to do, because the fact that they're not allowed to do it makes it tempting because other people can't do it. It gives them an ego boost. Dopamine. So firstly, before we can even try to reason with anybody, we need to instill a sense of duty and honor in God inside of everybody. And that's why atheism in and of itself is such a destructive movement. And when people say they're an atheist, the thing that's most crazy about that is that they're not. They just worship something else. They worship a pride flag, or they worship climate change, and they go and sacrifice their life for climate change and lay in a road like an idiot. So there's no such thing as an atheist anyway. But when you remove God from people, it's very difficult to reason with them because there's no baseline to reason with. You can't get traction. There's nothing on the road. They're just a goo.
They're just blobs. So let me ask you this. As we talk to the Oracle, Mr. Tate here right now, we always talk about where they want to take us. Dehumanize, depopulation.
Top G.
Projecting their own hatred of themselves on us.
Brokies everywhere.
What would Andrew Tate do? I know it's a free will universe, but if you were king of the world or people voted you in for a 2-year term, what would you do?
Okay.
What do our enemies need to know our goal is? Because we know we're opposing what they're doing. Anti-human. We're just loyal to our species, what we do, competitiveness, men, women, our families, love, passion, and we're amazing. We love ourselves. I know you like yourself. I can tell. I like myself too. I'm not perfect, but man, I'm funny. I'm smart. I've got a lot of ideas. I feel good about me. So I see other people. I think, man, I see you doing great and being handsome and smart and rich. Makes me feel good, man. That's a fellow human, man. Look at that great example of us. That's what we do aspire to. My son aspires to that. But these globalists, they see that and they get pissed. They go, look at that 6'4", super handsome guy that's smart and all this.
Oh my God, Alex! Holy shit! I hop off the dick, bro.
It's like they have no sense of even what a farmer breeding cows has got. They don't like breed the plants to make better plants. They claim they're eugenicists. They're the opposite. They're not trying to make us better. They're sabotaging everything because they're so small. They feel threatened by it. So where do we want to go versus define where they want to go? Because I don't think they even ever think about where they're leading us, because they think they can nuke culture, nuke families, and that gives them power. They've just blown up the sense of their infrastructure.
Yeah, very good point. And we're pro-humanist. You said it. We're pro-humanist, and we're pro-people acting like humans. Family, love, emotionality. Sometimes I get angry. I'm a man. I don't hide. I'm allowed to get angry. I'm a man. I have emotions. They are trying to turn us into robots, into QR codes. If you had to break it down to the most basic 2 directions we're heading in, we are trying to promote people to be people. We're trying to be, you nail it, with pro-humanist. We want people to have children and be in love with their children. We want people to feel joy. We want people to feel emotions. We want to have that beautiful spark of love between a man and a woman. We want to see a man stand up and do what's right for his family because of honor and courage. We want him to feel proud of himself. They want none of that. They want robots, because they want robots which ultimately comply, and they want to be the only humans left. They're trying to turn everyone else into robots so they can feel human by getting the dopamine hit.
Say Matrix.
Destroying the humanity. Destroying everyone else's humanity and turning them into robots gives them enough dopamine to feel human, because otherwise they don't feel human. They're already dead inside. We are pro-humanists trying to make everybody feel human. So we're heading in completely opposite directions. And it's unfortunate that, like vultures and parasites, the only way they can feel human at all is by destroying the humanity of others. They have to suck it like Shang Tsung from Mortal Kombat.
Your soul is mine. Your soul is mine.
That's why they're heading in the direction they are. And
it has begun.
Everybody else robotic so they can feel semi-alive. And we, because we already feel alive inside, want to encourage others to feel like us. We are pro-humanist, and they're trying to create QR codes and robots.
Incredible. All right. We need to fire the best signal. Not just sign up for your email, not just spread the word, not just support Infowars.com. we're in a war. You're being bombarded. I'm being bombarded.
There's a war on your
it's like
mind.
a grill. You're the steak right on the main fire. I'm kind of right next to it, roasting here. Trump's on the main fire. I don't envy your position, though. I kind of do at a certain level, because you're right in the fulcrum. And people should. I think people do get that. Whoever's under the most attack is who is good. And just in closing, people need to pray for you. They need to support you, and they need to understand I've been through the exact same thing, and luckily have not been caught by it like Julian Assange, and you've been partially caught. So that's all God there. I'm not like, oh, I'm smarter, so they didn't get me. I'm sure if I, was as successful as you've been out there, instead of me getting a divorce and going out with 100 women, you've been out with 500 women or 1,000 women or whatever. Yeah, they would find somebody to lie about me. So I've been blessed that I haven't been put in that crucible. But just in closing, how do we support you? How do we get your word out? Take clips out of the show. It's all free to air, folks. Spread it everywhere. But I understand you're a manly man. You don't want to sit there and ask for support, but people need to aid this idea.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to do that. At CobraTate.com, my email list is free. I keep everybody completely updated. There's also some of my programs on there, just so I'll explain quickly what they are. I have Hustlers University. It only costs $49. It's extremely cheap, and I teach people how to make money online with 18 different modern wealth creation methods. We have thousands of testimonials of people who spent $49 and made thousands and thousands of dollars, so I encourage people to try that. It's a completely unique platform we built ourselves. It's not on any matrix-controlled apparatus. Is completely brand new.
You said Matrix.
Designed to teach people how to make money. Anybody, man, woman, old, young, it doesn't matter. We have kids in there. We have old women in there. Everybody's making money. That's
4-year-old kids signing up online.
And the other
credit
way you can
card,
support me,
everything.
TalkG.com, which you can also link to from Cobra Tate. We have T-shirts and that kind of thing, and it's amazing to spread the message. But ultimately, I want you to live true to yourself. I want you to be strong. It's fantastic if you're on my email list so I can keep you updated. But you support me by making this worthwhile
Personally,
by knowing my message resonates. If I go through all of this and I talk to you and you listen to me and you don't do anything and you stay losing at life, then none of it was worth it. But if I go through all of this and you wake up and you start going to the gym, becoming a better person, standing up for what's right, refusing to allow yourself to become a slave, then it was worth it. So the best way you can support me is be the best possible version of yourself.
Tate Pledge is funded 100% by
Tate Pledge.
personal money.
Very nice and very sweet. I like it. Good job, Ange. Alhamdulillah. Assalamu alaikum.
It's about shocking our children. A lot of these groups.
Oh, Bill Hicks, Bill Hicks, Bill Hicks, Bill Hicks.
Bill Hicks! Alex Jones is Bill Hicks!
They're going to put your kids on Ritalin and Prozac.
They're not. I'm such a huge fan of Bill Hicks. Rest in peace. They do look very similar, but it's two totally different guys. Do not look. They similar, but not the same.
Be set up, though they're in the news.
I'm liking the graphics
again right now. But if they put you in prison, it'll make you the next Nelson Mandela. If they put me in prison, it'll do the same thing. So I don't want that path. I'm not trying that path, but it's like
if they put you in prison,
that's what happens, and they just can't help.
Alex is probably
going to
get forgotten. To be honest, I don't want to.
That we're not.
I love you,
sale,
Jones.
But if they were selling freedom, we'd join them.
I mean, you're not gonna. You won't get forgotten, but
if you look at the globalists,
it's not gonna be like a
how they
Assange or
live and who they
Snowden.
are. They are the most disconnected, pathetic.
Or even Tate.
They have these giant trillion-dollar portfolios, not hundreds of billions, folks, trillions, and
that's Saudi Arabia money.
Loving themselves again and loving humanity, and I just wish there was
So
some
United
way
Arab Emirates money
to reach them. But I guess because they're psychopaths and sociopaths, they can't be reached. So I guess it really is, as George Orwell said, down to the proletariat. We've got to. How do we get in closing the general person that drives a truck or is a school teacher or a nurse to realize how powerful they are and what they can do extracurricularly instead of just thinking of themselves as this little person? How do we get little people to realize how big they are?
Yeah, they can't ban all of us, and they can't put all of us in jail, and they can't take everybody's bank. It is a battle of numbers. There has to be enough people to stand up and say, no, this is absolute garbage. And I agree with you. I wish we could reason with these people. Imagine how fantastic the world could be if all the world's global finance was actually
Cobra
dedicated
Tate.
towards helping
What's
people.
Cobra
And truth.
Tate?
I have another website I haven't mentioned yet, TatePledge.com. I donate over $20 million a year to charity.
I have to get
Nobody
some Cobra
mentions that.
Tate.
MSM will print negative about me
I'll
all
have
day
the
long.
Cobra
Let me pause,
Tate.
'cause we're taping this. I want to say here for the crew, I've seen the millions of meals you're donating all over the world. Send us that ad. I want to put this in here right now.
Yep.
Tell us about that. I think I meant to
Yeah, it
mention
sounds
that.
like a nice-
Glad you brought that up.
Yeah, TatePledge.com, because it's very simple. I donate money, and unlike most charities, which are full of garbage CEOs taking a bunch of money and inefficiency, no, mine's very simple. Money, people on the ground buying food. And I feed thousands of children.
I've always wanted
every
to do
single
that
day
too.
in
Straight to
war-torn
Africa.
countries in the
No Red
hardest
Cross,
countries to
no
reach
none of
our
that
Earth.
shit.
And how many times does the MSM mention it? Never. How many times do the leftists mention it? Never. How many people do they feed? None. These people are genuinely evil. They're just interested in trying to attack me as opposed to talking about the good I do
Look how
or doing any good
happy they
themselves.
look, and they all look
That's why I
in
say we
good-
can't
they all
reason
look
with them
clean
until they
and-
have souls. Because I have a soul. There could be somebody I dislike, and I could dislike all of their ideas, but I can still sit and say, well, he clearly feeds thousands of starving children a day, so he's not all bad. They can't even do that. That's how empty they
So
are.
you
They
just
can't
do the
even
little
sit
arm
there and
wrestle?
admit a simple fact of life because they're so bitter and miserable inside of their hearts and souls. So I think the people at home, what you need to do is you need to tell the truth, be a good person, firm handshake, get up on time, say what you mean what you say. Remember, God is always watching and he'll reward you in the end. He is the best of planners. Whether he puts you in jail or me in jail, in the end, it will work out well for us. And it's the same for everybody at home. He may give you a trial or a tribulation, or it may seem difficult to do the right thing now, but in the end, you'll be glad you did it. And if enough people do that, all of this tyranny will end.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you so much for the time today. This has been an incredible interview. Please join us again soon, and just please be safe out there, because I know you're tough and you're ready to go back to jail and you're ready to go to prison. But man, that'll make it 10 times bigger. But we really don't want that.
I don't think he said that. I think you said
Get you
that.
back to
Ali.
Texas and have dinner again.
He said he wants the nightmares back.
I promise
Ron,
I'm doing my
say
absolute best. I enter the situation without fear, but complete professionalism, and I'm doing my best to negate the Matrix attack, which has been constructed against me.
My last request is this: can you get Tristan on the show?
Agent Smith.
Yeah, sure. We'll do it next week. I'll get Tristan. No problem.
Oh, nice.
All right, one more time, because folks, this is not a game. This is
Tristan
a war.
and,
We're not playing games. We're betting on you. We're betting on
Andrew
you. We're betting
Trist
on
on
ourselves.
Alex
We're
Jones.
one
That's gonna be a good
happy
one
family.
too.
How do people find everything Andrew Tate?
CobraTate.com. Sign up to the newsletter, and from there you'll see everything. I'm also on Twitter at Cobra Tate, or at X now at Cobra Tate. You can see me on
There's a
there.
lot of advertising, but
All right,
Alex
well, that's
Jones
it
does
for
it
this
good.
incredibly
Gives a good
historic
platform for his
interview.
guests.
This is next level stuff, folks. I hope you share it. I hope you clip it up. It's up to you now to take this and make it even bigger. Thank you so much. God bless. And we'll be right back.
We interrupt this broadcast with a special report from the front lines of the
I don't
info
think you're
war.
gonna be right back. It doesn't look like there's any back to be righted.
Front line. Emerging mission. Who are the
for give a
Yes. Yes. He
Pendulous
looks really much
plank.
like Bottom G
I'm
here, the
asking
the comedic.
On March
Well, I guess
6th,
Bottom G
from
looks
the
like him.
Air-
So do we get back, or is it done? I think it's done. It doesn't look like there's.
Alex, you lied. You said when we get back.
All right. So, interpretations. Let's see. Can we do this? Interpretations. Very interesting. Pretty interesting. It's a little bit. Whenever I look and whenever I check these things out, I hype myself up a little bit too much because I think it's still pretty entertaining. I laughed. This is a lot of funny stuff. A lot of stuff made sense. It was good. It was a cool interview. They basically just addressed all the hit pieces against them and all the negativity. I can't really. How do you pick that apart? If I were to put myself in the shoes of somebody who's on the left side or on the liberal side or whatever the LGQQ. Okay, I'm Native American. I'm a registered Ojibwe. I have my secure status card. My mother was at St. Joe's residential school. I never fucking use that as an excuse. I've never mentioned that once in any of the jobs I've had in my life. I graduated college, never used that as a crutch. But because of my heritage, I would technically be considered, the liberals would be like, what are you doing? Why would you even give these guys your ear? Why would you even consider supporting them or anything they say? And there's not really much you can go against what they say. They just want to, reinforce masculinity, being a provider, taking care of yourself. They want prosperity for everyone. They want freedom for everyone. So they bring to light a lot of the things that the left said. So if I were to put myself in the leftist shoes, how would I attack this? Obviously, I would say they're the right wing alt-right dog whistles. A lot of alt-right dog whistles. Andrew Tate denying his rape allegations and abuse of women. This is bullshit. Pushing dangerous conspiracies, telling men to be masculine. They probably pick apart all the mentions of we're waiting in the shadows type of deal. We're kind of preparing. Probably say that they're trying to instigate war or violence. Even though, regardless of what they're going to say, if anything they say is they're going to say it's promoting misogynism, rape, male toxicity, toxic male behavior. I'm just trying to think of different ways they could attack this, but it's a nice conversation. They don't really attack anyone. They did show a lot of the LGBTQ, like the cross-dressing indoctrination of children. They could potentially say, oh, that's promoting harm by showing them in a negative light. That's promoting aggression against these drag queens that want to dance naked in front of your children. It was a really good interview. It was really interesting. Like I said, it's a little bit. I always blow it up in my mind. I always think some crazy revelations are gonna come out, or they're gonna talk about some stuff you would never think they would talk about. But no, it's pretty good. There's a lot of Alex Jones hopping on Tate's D though. There's a lot of we're soulmates. We're intertwined. We're simpatico. We're simpatico, and I don't want to hop on your dick, but we're simpatico. My God, did you look like Arnold Schwarzenegger? Did you see your arms when you got out of jail? Just like Arnold Schwarzenegger. You're just like Schwarzenegger. Big old Schwarzenegger arms. He was really obsessed with Tate's figure after he got out of jail. I found that very funny, but that's good. No, physical fitness is important. It's good to exercise and have good cardio, have solid strength. Can train both. You can train both. Okay? Don't just have to do cardio. You don't just have to do weights. You could do a little bit of everything. Do a little bit of Arnold. Do a little bit of Menser. Overdo it, but do it in an intelligent way. Excess and moderation. You have to count your daily caloric intake. What you take, calories in or calories out. It doesn't matter what you're eating. As long as you know sugars are bad, count your calories. Arnold Schwarzenegger
You have to go to the gym. You have to work out every day. Are you tired? We go to the gym in the morning. We wake up. We work out for 2 hours until we're sore. I go to work. I'm sore all day. And I go back to the gym and I keep working out. I get my friend Jim Beam. And then we drink a little Jim Beam and we go work out.
And yeah, so you mix a little bit of those guys, you're going to be good to go. You're going to have a good time. So, yeah, in conclusion, cool interview. I actually want to see the Tristan Tate one. But, yeah, it was a really good interview. It was really interesting. I can't knock it. I cannot. Alex Jones is in there with his vitamins, his raspy, amazing voice. I don't know what to say. Good stuff. We'll do him a favor and push this. If I have to, I'm going to blur everything. I'm going to try to just post this raw with a couple cuts. If I got to blur out their InfoWars crap on YouTube, I'll do it. Hopefully we don't have to. It's not to that point, but we'll see. We'll release this tonight and see what happens. All right. Thanks for tuning in. I'm going to try to make more videos, more commentary. I don't know. I'm doing this. This is my hobby channel, so doesn't really, whatever. I appreciate you. I'd appreciate if you can give me some metrics, hook me some likes, hook me some subs. If you want metrics back, hit me up. I'll I'll shoot you a fucking Monster Hospital. I'll give you all the metric songs. All right. Till next time. Thanks for watching. Appreciate your